It's like I can't walk on the ceiling. Oh yeah, got me dreaming, dreaming in colors I never dreamed in. Oh yeah, I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Radical Truth, the Power, the Progressive New Show with Let's BS3. I am your host, Marlon, with one sad balloon behind me after all these weeks, along with Anna Hart, along with Thea. The gang is all back again. As always, every Sunday we do the news of the week. 3 videos today. Crazy week, but we're gonna get through it together. How's everything going, Anna?
It's a really good day for me. Like I spent the week, actually past couple of weeks, really ill. Like every night, not being able to escape it. It finally, like last night, I could wake up. I didn't feel sick automatically. It was so nice, and then I could go back to sleep, and I could wake up another time and not feel sick. It's incredible. Just incredible. And I get to have my wee nephew with me, and apparently the Irish lass in me comes out.
You deserve some good time there.
Thank you. It feels, it's so good when like he's visiting on a good day. Like I enjoy that 1,000% more for obvious reasons. How you doing, This?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a really good day.
Yay! It's in the air.
just because we have the inside joke, is I wish you didn't say that online. So now it's recorded.
I'm saying I'm having a good day. I didn't say I was having fun.
Uh-oh.
But you're happy. Anyway, also in the second hour, we do have an Am I the A-hole and Mafia video of the week. And a very special Foxy video of the week is going to be a little different, but trust me, it's still Foxy's videos. You're still going to enjoy it, but take my word for it, it's just a little different. So,
Okay.
let's see who's already out there. Anna's already been in here. We are back live tonight. It would be great to hear from everyone. Get yourself a drink, a snack, or whatever you want, and find a nice, comfy place to engage. It's rough out there, so please be practicing self-care and self-awareness. If you get to a place where you can, check in with your friends and loved ones. Yep. Yep. Well, without any further ado, let's get this party started. No matter how many times I have said, I just do not want to deal with this dude. I just don't. I just really, really don't. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to see him. I definitely don't want to hear him. Every time I say that, he just comes and does something else stupid. Who am I talking about? Who else would I be talking about?
Mr. Rogers, but he's passed away.
No, I'm cool with Rogers.
I used to love him.
Yep. We're talking about good old Trumper, Donald Trump.
Oh, he's the president. You're going to hear about him a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, let's look at the latest two things this dude is doing. The first one, white genocide.
This is Donald Trump holding up an image he falsely claimed showed white South Africans being buried. It's actually a screen grab from Reuters video taken in the Democratic Republic of Congo on February 3rd, 2025.
Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
He falsely presented the image as evidence of mass killings of white Afrikaners during a meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa.
If there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here.
The video, verified by our fact-check team, actually showed humanitarian workers lifting body bags in the Congolese city of Goma following deadly battles with M23 rebels.
It is following a dangerous precedent that he is setting of just completely being a jerk to, I want to say more, but first hour, of being a jerk to other leaders of state. We all watched, either in horror or just with our head between our hands, as he told Zelensky basically that the war was his fault. That Ukraine started it, that he was the dictator, not Putin, and he is following the same exact script. Flip the script. Whatever was actually true, and it was true that white farmers owned so much of South Africa. Just a few. Sorry?
I was saying not even owned. They still
But
do.
still, actually, and right, it's a shifting dynamic. I guess as he is kicking out brown people, he is welcoming in wealthy white people. And you will notice this trend. As MAGA said, we don't want any immigrants. Well, guess what? He doesn't care about you, what you want, what you think. He is now going to do what is in his best interest and his buddy's best interest, and that's making money. I'm blanking. Starts with a C. I hate my brain sometimes.
Related to
Corruption. Sorry, there we go.
How about corruption?
The corruption, the blatant corruption that he is executing, it puts his first administration far in the dust. But I'll wait, and it just no. There is not a white genocide going on in South Africa. Those photos. She's upset. She's so upset about this. Those photos have been explained many times. And they aren't even in South Africa. It's like, this is just flip the script. This is white supremacy. He is following that playbook script by script.
I just got this one thing to say because I'm just, I don't want to talk about this dude.
Mhm.
It is so amazing to me. Either you're purposely ignoring it or you're just not intelligent enough to even try to catch on that at the height of Donald Trump, President of the United States, a man that can get his information from practically every international source you could possibly think of at any time, anywhere, for any moment. And you notice that every time he comes up with these lame things to talk about, it's always from the internet. It's always somebody posted this.
Some 4chan wet dream.
And that's how he gets his but go ahead, Diaz. I don't think I can. And there is absolutely nothing I can say in 2025 that I didn't say 8 years ago. 4 years ago. Sorry, feels like 4 years ago.
As usual, my perspective is a little bit different from both of you. I share many of your sentiments, but I mean, Donald Trump is an older man who is dealing with a lot of the natural flow of reduced abilities that comes with his age and his health. And he's also a child of the 50s. Like, I don't remember what year he was born, but if he's in his late 70s, that would place him being born probably in the 40s.
He was in the 40s, yeah.
So he was a young person coming up through the heights of Jim Crow and racial discrimination. It's like it's lifeblood to a person like him. And when people get old, they don't get better. They just settle into wherever they are. And the people around him are all sharks. So they manipulate him. Yes.
1946.
Okay. So yes, the president is, Sometimes I weigh between calling him a racist and just calling him a bigot, because he sometimes threads the needle for me, right? I think that using the term racist, we use it so much that it loses too much of its value.
You don't think he has not used the system to oppress?
No, I think he absolutely has, but
Sorry.
sometimes I question. No, I love it. Sometimes I question the motivation. It's very easy to grasp the racism straw, but when there are other straws that can carry a little bit more weight, I would rather we do that, because people shrug off racist. You know, he's more in pursuit of self-aggrandizement, self-enrichment, and he gets off on cruelty. Like, he is sociopathic from,
Yeah.
So that does not mean that he is motivated or not motivated by race. He has a racial preference. He prefers white people, right? He places white above all else, but it doesn't always track that he's trying to harm people of color because of their color. More often than not, the people around him are targeting people because of their color. You see what I'm saying? Like, he has white supremacists around him. He has white nationalists around him. He has Christian nationalists around him. He's empowered all these people. He's given them the authority to do things. He's created, or he's allowed ICE to morph into this other monster, right? All these things have happened, but he himself, we know that this is not a man who is actively engaged in anything. So I'm reluctant to blame him directly for some things. Like, he's responsible for it because he's the president, and this is all flowing around him and through his authority. But the man doesn't read his press briefings. Like, Marlon just made an excellent point. When the president speaks on something that he's seen or he's heard, it's not something that he got from a press briefing. It's something he got from social media or something that was curated for him to see. So you see what I'm saying? So in my view, he's being manipulated. He wants money. He wants power. Great. I'll give you money. I'll give you power. Let me do what I want to do. Knock yourself out. Right. And so much anger is pointed towards him, in large part justifiably, but as usual, so much energy is pointed at him that no one's looking at where the real bad guys are, So that's how I kind of view that. And then when the thing with President Ramaphosa, I mean, this is the same country where Woodrow Wilson did the screening for Birth of a Nation. This is that in more current version, right? Back then, they did racial propaganda, white people dressed up as black people to demonize black people and to terrorize white people. Now we'll just pick things from anywhere and twist them like they do on any other social media day, and then hand this to a man who is susceptible to manipulation and say, look, sir, look what they're doing. And because he has no basis, because he has no study of his own, he has to double down on what's in his hand. So when you tell him that's not on that man's knuckles, that was so that you could have an illustration of what those things may mean. No, it's right there, because he has nothing to back up, and he has the authority to double down. So that's what he does. So that's how I feel about the thing. I think President Ramaphosa did an amazing job. He was very skilled. I would rather he be a little bit more forceful, but that's not him. Like, if you know a little bit about President Ramaphosa, he is an elite, right? He's no Boy Scout. So he's not going to be the voice of the common man in South Africa. He is the elite of South Africa, but he is polished and poised, and he knows how to navigate spaces, mainly because he is in a multi-party democratic system where you have to navigate parliamentary space, which means you got to be able to manipulate people and work with people that you don't agree with. So,
and then I'm sure by now anybody coming into the U.S. as a delegation to come and meet our delegation, they must have seen the way many people piled up on Zelensky. I always come back to the word, it is the Trump regime. You're right, it is not just him. And yeah, I very much believe he has handlers. I mean, I have watched footage of people coming in and pointing out to, look, sir, you have a 77% approval rating.
Mm-hmm.
No other context than that. And that gives him what he needs for, he is narcissist. He very much, it's all about him and what he can get out of life. There's so many people that know him, have written about it, and just coming back to by now, other nations have to know that they are not coming into a normal situation. They are going to have to prepare in ways that they never even thought before. Maybe. I don't know. Or if you can just easily go, well, we got to use like Russian tactics with the US now, because they are openly siding on a certain theater. So I don't know.
Well, a big thing about all of that, and once again, we all have our different lanes that we're traveling on, right?
Mhm.
Because like for me, Russia is America's adversary, but it's not my enemy.
No.
Not my friend either. Not my enemy. But it is America's adversary. So to see our president, or the president, and encumbered in the way that he is, or compromised in the way that he is deeply distressing because of the impact that it has, right? But like what's happening in Ukraine for me has always been about, I don't like war and I don't like invasions.
For sure.
The people of Ukraine do not have a good record of treating Africans and people of darker hue well anyway. So I'm far more compassionate towards what's happening in Gaza than I am what's happening in Ukraine. I'm against what's happening in Ukraine because innocent people are being murdered for no real good reason, right? So yeah, they're siding up with Russia, meaning this administration is siding up with Russia.
Yeah.
But in and of itself, okay, Russia's doing what it's supposed to do. It's a nation that has been under sanctions, has been maligned, it's been suppressed, it's been threatened, it's been, what I'm saying? It has all of its own issues, and it's moving in its own best interest.
Yeah.
And you're right, Tracy. That comment, like I was saying, like one of the things you were saying, like the nations will have to start to prepare differently. They're having to prepare. They're already doing it. This president, I've already forgot how to say the man's name, Ramaphosa. This president obviously came in prepared. He didn't know that he was going to be walking into a slideshow, but he knew when I come, I need to bring my white South Africans with me because I need someone, and I'm going to bring the white South African golfers with me because I know when he's talking to me, very quickly, he's going to walk past me to find something that he agrees with. Anything I say, he's going to try to water down, but he'll listen to the people that he has feelings for, which are white, because he holds white above all else. And he holds Elon in high esteem. He holds Peter Thiel in high esteem. Both of these are white South Africans, right? So they knew what they were walking into. They may not have known all the individual little steps, but they were very well prepared. Very well prepared. And I agree that a lot of that comes off of seeing the last time somebody went in that oval, wherever they meet, it was definitely a setup. So I don't know what's coming for me, but I know it's going to be a setup.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that I can't give him an excuse to fight me. So I have to make sure I'm very methodical in how I deal with this man. He talked to President Trump like he was a upset 10-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he did.
It was a masterclass in political savvy. But then you have other leaders like Ibrahim Traoré. He ain't coming. Right? They invited him. I ain't going. He met with Russia though. Right. So I think you'll see a lot of that. So the ones who are economically tied to America in such a way that a more stiffer sanction could truly cripple their economy, they will still come, even though they know it's a setup. And they'll try to do their best not to, kiss the glove or something like that. But they'll have to come and they'll have to dance and they'll have to put up with it. And they'll say whatever they got to say to get what they need to get. It's the same thing that happened when he went to Saudi Arabia. They said what they needed to say. They manipulated him the way they needed to do it to get what they want. Because he's for sale, right? And he's openly for sale. He'll tell you he's for sale, So yeah, I don't know. I can't even get mad. This is just how it flows.
Oh, this was for me. So this is the fourth Sunday. So usually no shows during that means no show next week. No, it just so happened that next week is the 31st is the last Saturday. And then we start a new month, the 1st, which is Sunday. So we'll start back up that following weekend.
Yeah, but to tie it off, I really wish people would spend less time being surprised or obsessed with each individual event and pay attention to the larger thing. Like, we're so busy getting caught in these individual battles that we can't effectively fight the war. Is what he did with the South African delegation was expected.
Yeah.
So really it was a show. It was a show, and it allowed everyone to start shifting. It gave permission for people to shift away from the fact that the president just took a $400 million bribe. Right. It allowed them to take it gave permission for people to look away from what continues to occur, where the Supreme Court said, hey, stop these extraditions, stop these deportations. Right. I heard somebody make an excellent point. When you remove an American citizen and send them somewhere else, that's not a deportation. You can't deport a U.S. citizen, right? You have to abduct a U.S. citizen, okay? So, but we're all talking about his behavior with South Africa. We're talking about these videos and these pictures that we know that he shouldn't be manipulated by, but we know who he is. So it's literally the same thing he's done before. Meanwhile, he's defying the Supreme Court.
Yeah, still.
The Supreme Court is finally starting to stand up for itself a little bit. A little bit. But who's paying attention, right? He's literally dismantling every other aspect of the government.
Right.
But he's smart. People keep saying, I'm tired. It's unfortunate some people say that he's dumb. He's not dumb. He's a very intelligent man. He can't do what he's been doing for as long as he's been doing it and not be intelligent, right? So he gives stuff to distract and to overwhelm and to dismay and to confuse and all these things. A lot of the corruption is to keep us confused, right? Meanwhile, his team is doing all these other horrible things, and it's hard to focus on all of it at the same time.
Well, speaking of something else that he's trying to make sure we get distracted from.
You okay, Rose?
Yo, damn. Clutch pearls.
Wrong pipe.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Speaking of things that he's trying to distract us from, let's take a look at the big, beautiful bill.
While President Trump's big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives by a narrow margin, the battle is less than half from over. The U.S. Senate now needs to process the bill, and some senators, including close allies of President Donald Trump, telling me they're not afraid of making big changes.
Senator, on the big, beautiful bill, would you still like to see changes now that it's come over from the House?
I've already said it. In its current state, is completely unacceptable to me.
If the House version came up for a vote in the Senate in current form, would it fail?
Well, I would vote no. I think I have 3 other colleagues that absolutely vote no as well.
Republican senators also tell me they're not concerned about President Trump's self-imposed deadline of July 4th to get the bill to his desk. However, some of the larger pieces of the tax package are likely to remain the same. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, as well as the permanent extension of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act are likely to stay in there. Also likely to stay in the bill, the eligibility changes to Medicaid and SNAP benefits, more commonly known as food stamps. According to a recent report from the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, 3.2 million people could lose their SNAP benefits each month as a result of the changes in the big, beautiful bill. But in the U.S. Senate, the political calculus is a bit different from the House of Representatives. Senators serve 6-year terms instead of the shorter 2-year terms in the House of Representatives, meaning that there are some Republican senators who will not leave office until after President Trump has left office himself in January of 2029. But after the bill passed in the House of Representatives on Thursday, a warning from some of the ultra-conservatives who'd originally held the bill up earlier in the week. Members of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus telling reporters that if the Senate makes too many changes, they may not be inclined to support it.
We've moved this bill quite a bit, and we're going to look forward to what the Senate does to it, because we have another bite at the apple, given what the Senate changes in it. So we're looking forward to that as well.
The Freedom Caucus was instrumental in, we held it out as long as we could to get the cuts. As long as we could. We couldn't do it anymore. We'll live to fight another day.
While Congress is out for the Memorial Day holiday, the Senate will return in early June and begin to process changes on Trump's big, beautiful bill. Nathaniel Reed, Scripps News Group, Washington.
Marlon, I have to disagree, though, that this is something that is just a distraction. There is a reason that this went through at 1-something a.m. in the House of Representatives. They didn't want the American public to be looking at them and signing off on, this is a big deal that will make so many cuts to Medicaid, to Medicare, to food stamps. We've already got so many cuts to our safety nets done by Elon Musk and Doge that we're reeling. There are people who we don't know where else to go. Hey, honey, we are looking at death. If a lot of us get our medication taken away, we are looking at death. This bill robs from the poor to give to the rich. It is the same old story as time immemorial. And you often heard Trump say, I want to take us back to the 1870s, 90s, whatever it was, the golden age. This is when robber barons, like 7 people, got the profits. And no, it didn't trickle down then. It didn't trickle down during Ronald Reagan's, George Bush's. It doesn't work that way. And she has shared in our chat a list of just how much the tax system by 2029 will shift. This, do you want to?
I mean,
Like, I don't want to take anything that you had prepared.
I don't need to really talk about it. I have other points I'll make, so you're welcome to it.
It's incredible. I mean, you parcel up the top 1%, of course, get, where is it?
Yeah, but it's pretty much, if to help a little bit. So the top group gets like 3%, 3 to 5% tax savings.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, everybody else is having to take it on the nose, right?
Yeah. So the top 1% will get $52,000 and $50. 90 to 99% will see over $9,000. 80 to 90%, those who are in that wealth bracket, will take home an extra $3,300. And it goes down until you get to the middle class is going to see maybe $360. Some of the lower middle class will see $260, and the poor of us, we will lose $100. We will have to pay more. Please tell me how that makes sense. Except that they're greedy. And they want more money to them and their friends. Like, yeah, I know that
no,
part.
actually, it's deeper than that.
I get what you're saying. I'm not putting you down by saying that. Spotsy made a great observation.
Mm-hmm.
What they're systematically trying to do, in my opinion, because I agree with her, is that they're trying to get rid of the middle class to the point there's just going to be nothing but. Now, I added my own twist to it, but there's going to be nothing but poor and rich. That's it. There's not going to be such things as a middle class anymore. I know who we're dealing with, and that's Trump. He's trying to create his own oligarch. The people that's behind him is trying to create a super rich real leaders of the United States. All we need is somebody to put in office to make sure that we stay rich. So like what they're doing in Russia. So yeah, why would they do stuff like that? The wage gap is going to get wider and wider and wider to the point where that whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps is going to sound a lot dumber than it was in the past. Because it's going to get to the point where how?
So one thing I would say, and you guys know me, I'm rainbow and sunshine. So get ready for all the happy feelings. All right.
God, I thought I was giving you all the bad stuff, but
no, it's just a matter, and this may help a little bit with what Anna was trying to express to everybody. When you think of middle class, right? Because you were saying, Marlon, part of the thing you suspect is happening is they're trying to target the middle class. I would present to you that they're not concerned about the middle class. The middle class is not even a thing, because middle class and working class are just two ways of saying wage earners. The people who are making these decisions are not wage earners.
Mm-hmm.
They are owners. They are wealth. They are beneficiaries. They are, they do not generate their income from exchanging their time for money. They generate income by using time to make money. Two different things. So when you're in that wealth position, a wage is an expense. These are the people who pay wages. They're not the ones who earn wages, right?
Right.
So for them, middle class is an irrelevant, arbitrary thing. And to make my point a little clearer on that, middle class, like, okay, what do you, just as a simple quick tester, when you think middle class, what income range is that? Either
35 on up.
Used to be.
I would say 50.
Kind of. And keep in mind, these are household incomes. So to be considered poverty is usually somewhere in the neighborhood of $34,000 and under for a family of 4. Right. But to be middle class is roughly $60,000, $70,000. And it goes all the way up to almost $200,000. Now, how many $200,000 earning families do you know of that you would qualify as being middle class, right? Thank you, Afro. So when this happened, I want to say this happened during W.
90,000 to 125,000 now.
The 90,000 is a little high, but no, she's 100% on it. They did some mathematical jujitsu in one of the previous administrations. I don't think it was Trump 1. I want to say it was Obama or it was W. But they did some manipulations with how we look at the numbers so that they can make the economy look better than what it was, right? In fact, no, it might have been Trump 1 because when they did those big tax cuts. So you redefine what middle class is so that it looks like there's more of a middle class than there really is, right? So that's one reason I would point. That's one thing I would point out. Another thing, like Anna, you were saying, they did this vote at like 1 o'clock in the morning because they didn't want eyes on them. They don't care about having eyes on them because they know the American public ain't watching no way. The people who pay attention, and most people don't pay attention. So the people who pay attention, whether you did it at 1 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, we gonna catch it. You see what I'm saying? But the rest of the people, they're not paying attention. They were trying to slide it past as many reporters as they could so that the reporters would be delayed in responding on it. But as far as us, they know that, you know, the ones who are riled up are already riled up, right? Then you have, like, why are they targeting the poorest among us? I believe that goes into their ideological viewpoints. And to reinforce that assertion, the Speaker of the House on many occasions, and not just him, but other people say this too, but he has definitely made it an extreme point to create their straw man argument of saying that they have to find the 30-something-year-old single male with no dependents who refuses to go to work and is receiving benefits.
Yeah.
Right? They have taken the welfare queen make-believe figure, and they have now morphed it into making it about the guy, because everybody will agree that a able-bodied man should go to work. Unfortunately, I say, yeah, he should, but if there's nowhere for him to go to work to earn a living, then we need to address that part, right? But but America's not interested in actually taking care of the actual issue. It's the same issue we have with abortion. You want less abortions? You can either outlaw abortions and then whatever happens, happens, or you can put in infrastructure to make it easier for a young family to raise their family and care for their children. You can do either one. Which one do we go with? We always go punitive. Always go punitive. So they don't care what happens to those with serious disabilities, chronic illnesses, things like that, because to that class, the people that they serve, those communities are expenses. Okay? They're not contributing to society because they're not generating income for society. Now, they can contribute in every other way, but they don't value those ways. They don't value the role that you play in your family. They don't value the way that you help support your community. They don't value the fact that but a large number of people with disabilities and other concerns are huge segments of the volunteer class. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is your social security number is your barcode in America. How are you contributing to the machine of America? Well, these people are taking more than they're putting into it. So really, if there's less of them, isn't it really a better thing for all of us? I won't say it out loud because that's unpopular, but you know what they're after. See what I'm saying? And I blame them because we know the cruelty that these people are about. We know their ideology if you pay attention to their ideology. But instead, we keep locking in on their individual actions, which makes it easier for them to have more actions because we're missing, right? We're always behind. We're always chasing the last thing that they did instead of fighting the thing that they are, right? So it's rough. It's super rough. And you even have people turning against the people who need benefits. There are videos galore of people celebrating people losing their Section 8 housing because they have bought into the boogeyman theories as well. And this is where I'm going to turn around and I'm going to blame the Democrats, okay? Because when the Democrats have power and the Democrats have authority, how much effort did Biden's administration put into shoring up the weak points that the first Trump administration revealed? Right? The Democrats didn't get in there and say, hey, we're going to put these controls in and we're going to make sure these abuses aren't done. And they didn't do any of that. The Democrats didn't go in there and say, hey, we are known as being the mouthpiece and the speakers for these communities that, you know, are in need of help because they make their money off of the masses, right? So you're known for representing all of us. Why wasn't it the Democrats didn't come in and say, here's how we're going to go in and clean up some mess? We're gonna make sure that we're funding, because the Republicans would have helped them. We're gonna go in and fund a task force that's going to go in and make sure that we're not paying the wrong people Medicaid and paying the wrong people SNAP benefits and paying them. Democrats could have done that. They didn't, because they don't do things. The politicians, both parties, don't do things. So then the Republicans come in, they're like, I bet. We all agree that there's waste in the system. We're just going to go get it. No system to do it. No process to do it. Just pure cruelty. But we're in a cruelty phase and it can flow that way. And then the last thing I'll say, and this is actually to lift up a point that Anna was making about trickle down economics. And like you said, it doesn't work. It does work. Because trickle down economics is saying that of all the stuff that goes into the cup, a little bit's going to drip off the edges. And we, the American public, have been living off of the drippage that has come off of the edges. That's why we don't have universal health care. That's why we don't have a better system to help people who are in poverty than what Section 8 has been around for, 40 years? And no improvements to that system? Really? Right? So the trickling is happening, but the trickling is the problem. You know, we need distribution. We need justice in the system. But instead what we get is, well, you can have scraps. And now the people who are letting us have the scraps are saying, I kind of want the scraps too. Rainbow and sunshine.
Hey.
But I would love to have more conversations about what do we do in response to some of these things, because oftentimes what we get stuck in is all that's wrong and going wrong, and we're just regurgitating the damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a great show. I wonder who can actually put a show like that together.
Well, I have the 3R project. Another video will be posted to my website here in the next, probably by tomorrow. But I'm not talking about these national politics things. I am talking about community level things. But if other people want to do it, then do it. I'm not going to be the one to do it, because I've been telling people for 20 years what we need to do politically. And I'm not the voice that people want to hear. I would gladly contribute to the discussion. But what I have found each time I try to have these discussions, it always ends up getting mired down in the stuff that's wrong and the history of what's wrong and why we got to what was wrong.
But not how to fix it.
Because how to fix it takes something. That's the part. That's the part. If you really get to the point, because Anna pushes this so many times because she does so much work in the community. The doing something requires something. And people don't want to do that part. So for me, it's like mental masturbation to sit here and talk to somebody and they're not trying to do something. Like, why are we, what? Well, what would she do? What should we do, Theus?
The same thing I told you last year and the year before that.
Or not even what I told you, because I don't have all the answers. In many cases, I don't have any of the answers. But we do.
So there are people that have studied different civilizations that have taken down fascist regimes. We have all kinds of information that we could be looking up. But you're right, Theus. Like a lot of people they're not feeling the urgency yet.
And I feel that, but then there's another part too.
What do you feel?
I believe that even for people who feel the urgency, the pressure is so overwhelming. They don't believe that there's anything they can do. Like before this year, it was a lot of somebody will stop it, because that's what we kept hearing, right? Well, this is going to get him. Well, this is going to get him. No way he can do this. Well, this is going to get him. And no one came to get him. So that has a psychic weight, So then you get to the point where it's like, if nobody came to get him before, and now he's in power, yeah. Do I stick my head up and peek over the wall, knowing that what's coming at me, or do I try to just wait this thing out? And that's where most people, I think, really are. They feel defeated. They feel completely defeated, right? And even if they want to fight back, one, they don't know how, or two, they don't know how to get somebody who will fight back with them, or they have distorted views of fighting back, right? Like my view of fighting back is quite distorted, and I'm aware of it. That's why I don't push it to anybody, because my view of fighting back is double down on your community, build relationships with other communities, get ready for shared sacrifice, get ready for shared suffering, get ready for mutual benefit. That's where I'm at. I'm in a bunker mentality, right? I'm not trying to mount up and go fight the US government. Are you serious? My people have been the footstools and the punching bags of this government for 400 years. And nobody really came out in force to help us. The Civil War, they didn't fight the Civil War over us. They fought the Civil War over the financial impact of us. There's a difference. Right? So I'm in a different camp.
Yep.
So you got some people who are saying, well, no, we need to, go get your guns and get ready to. Okay, look, America hasn't won a war since. America hasn't won a war, okay? But America is lethal. America is well-trained and well-funded. And America is us. So how you gonna fight it? So there's so many layers that are in there. And for me, and I'll just give a few nuggets, things that I think that can be done. I think you can become more organized and intentional in how you not only vote, but how you qualify people that you're going to vote for. You can become more intentional, and you can be more organized about how do you raise the consciousness of your children and your neighbors, so that we aren't preying upon each other, because the temptation to prey on each other is going to rise. It's not going to subside, right? Those are the things I think we can do. We can deprive the government of its power by no longer giving it our energy. We don't agree with the things they do. We don't support the things they do. If we're going to do like a full political, for those of you who are political, a full political stand down, then that would mean like next election, you don't vote for nobody. Nobody. right? And then what happens is, yes, these same knuckleheads are going to get in office, but they'll go in office with like no support. They're going in anyway. So they're going in with no support. Now it's a different tale that the media is forced to tell. These are different things you can do, but none of these are going to give that victory type of feeling that I think a lot of people are seeking. Hey, I missed Afra's comment. I think it was something else pretty good.
She was saying about mutual aid is one thing, but think about Gaza. If you're under attack and resources are destroyed, you are sharing from an extreme lack. And
no, I gather her point. And it's true. If your neighborhood's a rubble, what are you sharing? Right? You're sharing what's left. And unfortunately, that is the survivor story. Right? But America won't end up there. What America will end up with is something like Jim Crow. Something like Jim Crow. You won't get Jim Crow again. It won't look the same way. But it'll be every bit as devastating as before, but it'll hit more people. It won't be confined to Black people. It'll be waged on a class basis. It will be poor white people, poor Asian people, poor, you're getting screwed, right? You are listen to what Trump said when he was running for office. He always gives a tell. One of the things he said was about Black jobs. The illegals are taking Black jobs. You dissect that. The illegals are taking jobs. Okay, so we don't want the illegals taking jobs. What's the best way to keep illegals from taking jobs? Get the illegals out of the way. That frees up jobs. Well, those jobs are defined as Black jobs. So who's going to go work the jobs? Black people. Well, what jobs are those? The jobs that illegals were doing. What jobs were the illegals doing? Those are now Black jobs. Now, do the Black people want to take a 50-year back step or a 60-year back step to do those jobs? No. So how do you address that? Well, we have to use the Constitution. We have to be constitutionally bound. But we're a government that works and abuses the Constitution to serve our own purposes. So what do we have in the Constitution that would allow us to do this? Well, we can say that we can reinstate Black codes, right? So we can say if you are unemployed, which is a problem, if you're an able-bodied young man and you're unemployed, that could be deemed a crime. So now if we can lock you up and we put you in jail, anybody who goes into jail, white, Black, or otherwise, put you in jail, you are now subject to the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment outlawed slavery, except as a punishment for crime. So now you can take those same Black people and give them those jobs. You just lease them back to the industries. Well, wait a minute. Who would want to hire these people? Well, we have to make sure that the people who are running the industries are impersonal large entities. Best way to do that, let's run the farmers off of their land, make it corporatized. So now the corporations are not looking at the individuals that they are using to do the work. They're just going to the state and saying, I need employees. The state then goes to the prisons and sends the prisoners to go do the work. And the American public at large is offended, but they're not outraged because technically it's all legal and it's all happening to someone else. So I'm saying this isn't like me putting on a tinfoil hat. This is like literally, here's history, here's current events, here's logical next steps, right?
Mm.
100%, Afro, 100%.
That's literally how this country was built, and the European immigrants was also indoctrinated.
Indentured.
Sounds familiar? Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have sharecropping to be back. We already have convict leasing. People don't recognize it as convict leasing because we don't call it that, but it's 100% convict leasing. The fact you have prisoners who are working call centers, you have prisoners who are working for the fields. If you look at what happens in Angola prison in Louisiana, where they still have sheriffs riding on horseback as Black men work the fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be helpful for more people to pay attention, but I had a great conversation last night with some great people. Point our raves to them is people don't want to see these things. It's painful to see it. And right now we have an option not to see it. So we don't. I'll toss this at you guys, those of you out there. So last time you thought, if you are not yourself an orphan or grew up around orphans or grew up around foster children, when's the last time you thought about one? That's how this stuff happens. So welcome to the human experience. Rainbows.
All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get into the last story. And it is about the plantation in Louisiana burning down.
Flames shooting out of the largest standing antebellum mansion in America. This was the scene last night in White Castle as the fire took a serious toll on the Nottoway Plantation house. Louisiana First News reporter Kayla Gaston speaking to parish officials today to get a handle on the damage there.
A day after a fire destroyed the Nottoway Plantation house, how the fire started remains under investigation.
It's a day that we were always afraid of.
Thick smoke and flames rose from the historic Nottoway Plantation Thursday afternoon, a 160-year-old structure in Iberville Parish, sparking conversation about its legacy.
There's so much controversy with the past, but you know, in the generations that we didn't live in that generation, right? The main thing is the preservation of history is so important.
10 fire departments rushed to contain the blaze. Though parts of the property were damaged, the main structure still stands.
We will continue our investigation, leave no stone unturned until we determine what has caused and why this fire happened. No timetable on how long it's going to take. This is a large-scale fire, so it's going to take a lot of effort.
The mansion, once a plantation home, now operates as a resort and museum, drawing visitors from around the world.
This event here is gonna take a toll on the Louisiana tourism.
Several departments responded to help fight the fire. No injuries were reported. For Louisiana First News, I'm Kayla Gaston.
The parish president says renovations were done years ago, but sprinklers were not added to the mansion.
You're muted.
I want to say something because I don't want to take up a lot of time on this one. Notice that people always talk about history, are not interested in teaching history. This plantation is still used for weddings. It's still used for social events and social gatherings.
But it's pretty, and it makes me feel like a debutante.
Exactly. So the history that he wants to preserve is not the history. It's a shading of the history. So to me, it's just another building burned down. You know, I don't even take the larger view that a lot of people are, but it's a building that burned down and it needed to burn down. And I don't care that it burned down. So there you go. That's my take.
Here is my take on it. I'm still two totally different topics, okay? Two totally different topics. And if you've been on this show long enough, you know there's always going to be a situation where I don't want something like this to happen, but I also don't care that it did. This is one of them. I don't like property damage and things like that. I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care what it is. It's property damage. It wasn't yours. Whatever. Do I care that it burned down? No. No. Not at all. Number two, really, dude? This is our history. We got to preserve it. Did that come out of your mouth? Really? Because I could have sworn for the past 8 years, there is a certain group of people who have been trying to erase history, or at the very least rewrite it, because you've already profited off of it. So you don't want to feel bad about it after it's already been done. Speaking of property, it's amazing how this same house who profited off of slavery during its time being built is still property Because remember what he just said. It's not also just a bed and breakfast or a resort or something like that. It's also a museum. So you're still profiting off of a building that profit off of slavery. So please miss me with your sob story about we wasn't there generation after generation. Don't do that. Don't do that whole that it happened a long time ago. Crap. Okay? Because now we're back to history, the same history you try to erase. So which one is it? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't try to erase that history, but we need to preserve that history. You can't have it both ways.
But they can, Marlon.
But they can't. Not what? Nope. That's why a lot of people like me is here. No, you can't. No, you can't. Me and a lot of YouTubers like me, and a lot of Twitch streamers like me, and a lot of Instagram people like me, and a lot of TikTok viewers like me are not going to allow you to keep profiting off of something you're trying to erase. So, sorry, not sorry. Do I want people of destruction and everything else? No, I don't. Do you want me to sit here and celebrate it and everything? No, I'm not going to do that. Do you want me to care? Absolutely not. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to care. There's too much. There's too much damage right now. And it's going to take a while for it to be repaired. And like this is said, this is the rainbow, the sunshine part of it. I ain't going to be here for it. I can tell you that now. It ain't going to be my generation. I can tell you that right now. You still doing too much now. So it ain't going to be my generation. Hand it over to my grandkids. Because I can't see my kids' generation get through it. May get a little better. Maybe. But for this generation, I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm just speaking my voice. I'm just making sure and keeping awareness strong. So none of y'all first hour. So none of y'all BS keep sliding through the cracks.
Well,
I don't give a nothing.
I'm just saying, our generation fell asleep at the switch. We refuse to grow up. So we're a little late to the dance.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done.
Anna, what are you?
Last word.
Honestly, there's not much that I can add to this. I agree with both of you in the different statements. It's a building. It burnt down. You're doing a lot to erase history, and you're really damn entitled to claim that this is about preserving history. It is ridiculous. But no.
It is funny to me, Anna, that you say that. I promise I'll stop talking after that. It is funny to me that the only history you want to preserve is the history you can profit off of.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? If it's emotional history, if it's history that makes you feel some type of way, that's what you want to erase. But if you can profit off that history, we have to preserve it. which is kind of BS in and of itself, because the only history you're really talking about isn't the slavery, it's the house. You could give a rat's butt about preserving the history of slavery. But that big, like Anna said, that big, beautiful house where you could feel like a debutante and walk around and
yeah, they still have the coming out party where the young lady comes down, and I forgot what the term is called, but the women are taught how to be young ladies and the men are taught how to be young men. I think they call it a debutante ball, but I think it has a different
that's
name.
your coming of age. That was a it took after you were supposed to, in nobility and back in England and different places in Europe, you were 16, you were introduced as a lady or a man to your community.
Yeah, because you're now
You
eligible.
were no longer a child, all that. And there's some really disturbing Gone with the Wind bullshit that people hang on to without like watching the rest of that movie to see the horror. So it's all about looks and how they can feel, and they can feel pretty in a dress in a pretty environment in front of a pretty home. Some people actually cannot go to homes like that or property like that. There is a fairground close by, which is where we used to keep Japanese people before they were sent off to their internment camp. So it's like, I cannot walk close to that place at all, and it's within 40 minutes drive. It is supposed to be one of the fun things. I came to Washington at 15 years old, so my friends were telling me about the Puyallup Fair, and it was a rite of passage, as we are talking about. You grow up, you go not with your parents, you go out with your friends to the fair. And I just cried. And told him, no, I cannot go step inside there. Have fun. If you can.
Yeah, and just one thing, like what Marlon was saying, and it may not be true about this man, but I just like to point this out for people. So we're little, and I may be wrong. Put that out there. I may be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy, he may not have any negative thought whatsoever. You have your subtle bigots. You have your subtle bigots who they don't even know that they're being bigoted. They don't even recognize it because they were taught a fractured fairy tale just like everybody else. Now he's a grown man, so he don't get a lot of slack because he can go read, he can video, and everything's out there for him. But it would still require him to unwind what he's been taught. And it would also conflict with the job that he has to do. Right. So we don't know if when he's on the grounds and he's talking to people, he's also talking about these are the slave quarters and blah, 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 blah. Right. But then there in that same video clip in expanded form, there was a lady who was sitting there and you could hear her whitewashing what the slavery experience was. Right.
Yeah.
So all those things considered, I'm just throwing out there that they're still the enemy. Right. People who elevate this genteel society, like, how can it be genteel when you are presiding over the enslavement of other people? Right. So you're choosing to look at one side of a bad situation.
Right.
And I can't forgive you that. But I can say that that's what you're doing. And that is different than someone who glorifies in the dark side of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what we're dealing with MAGA. A huge part, I would suspect, of MAGA, they don't glorify in the dark side. They're aggressively focusing on the best sides because it helps them cope and it gives them hope, right? But the dark side is still there. They're just choosing not to look at it too much, right? So for the people who are able to walk in those spaces and work with those people, then yeah, keep working with them to help them see a more robust viewpoint, because I think that's valid and valuable work. Just ain't work for me.
Right.
You align with MAGA, I'm opposed to you in every which way. You can take it any way you want to. You have aligned with my enemies, therefore you are an enemy to me. But I do recognize that though you are an enemy to me because of where you've aligned yourself, you personally may not be an enemy to me because you just have different priorities, but your priorities are allowing for the endangerment of people I care about. You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I can't work with them. That's why I can't. Right? And it's funny because I wrestle with that sometimes myself because it's kind of selfish. I'm one of those few people, I believe, that can see other angles and see other sides and recognize the humanity even in the inhumanity. But I'm not going to spend my energy there because understanding the motivations of the guy who's holding the rope, how does that help me? You know? But that's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I would rather seek out people that are also looking to deconstruct their own bigotry and racism that they have learned throughout their lives. I would rather find the people deconstructing that. And because that's what I'm trying to do. You know, so if I can find more people, and like I found a YouTube series that is brilliant for me. I just only started to watch it, but already I have been confronting things that I had an inclination of how deep they went, but I didn't know before. You know, so they are wonderful lessons, and if like you've heard me talk about my neighbors, and yeah, I will converse with them, even though they voted for people to suffer. But I'm not trying to like ultimately change their mind. I am going and trying to find others who are like me, who want to fight, who know that there are a lot of good other white people out there who are also fighting, who are also trying to deconstruct, who are protesting, who are out there. You know, like I was afraid when this all started. I was not sure if I could protest, and I now know I am the perfect sort of person to go protest. And every time we get more and more people, but still, you know, you've heard me say this before. My black brothers and sisters, please stay home and stay safe. There is a reason why police have been leaning on buildings and just kind of looking bored instead of pulling out their weapons. And there are a lot of us that we know we do not begrudge anyone from finding your own form of resistance, because resistance will look different on so many levels. You know, resistance is me going and showing up in my wheelchair, and resistance is that underground meeting between people who you don't know about. You don't know about these things. Resistance is also all the indivisible meetings that are happening across this country, as well as the world. Like, we have the world trying to tell us that they are there for us. They are watching in horror, in shock. Of course, some of the people are like, we knew. But resistance, it takes on many facets. And we have people who have organized such incredible boycotts that we see Tesla gone down 50% in its worth. Target, 37% in the last quarter. And Target has been, the target of a concerted effort to boycott by the Black community. I have seen so many videos about this. People who, you know, because Target was the first one to bend the knee and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to get rid of DEI," and yeah, we're right there with you, sir. And so, a lot of us looked and went, "Sorry, Marlon, but what the fuck, Target?"
You already said bullshit. So why are you?
Take the apology, sir.
I didn't even realize that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anna. Let me stop you there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me stop you there. My mom is watching with me and cracked up when Anna said bullshit. Yeah, that line Anna had about the Gone with the Wind bullshit was good. Yeah.
Oh, no!
Yes.
Oh my God, I remember it now.
But I think I would be remiss if I did not point out something I think is important.
Go for it.
And by the way, I have a question before we get into the second hour too for Anna.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Dave.
I think it's important not to mix what the Black community has done with our boycotts and the anti-DEI stuff. Excuse me. I think it's important not to mix that with the anti-Trump protests. It's not the same thing. We're not fighting over the same things. So
right.
I was not a proponent of the Target boycott, but I admit that I was not right. I was wrong. I see where they have had impact. I think that it's been distorted how much impact it is, but it truly did have impact. And I'm so proud of our community. There are different issues I have with it, but I won't voice them on wide open air like that. But I think it is important for people to understand that that's actually part of the problem with the overall resistance thing. We're not all resisting the same thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when folks are out there protesting, we're not going to the protest, not because, well, yes, we are aware that if we show up, the entire way that these things are handled will shift instantly because there's no prohibition. In fact, there's actually a celebration of the abuse of Black bodies. So yeah, right. So out of self-preservation, we're not in these protests, but That's not the real reason we're not in these protests, right? We're a big reason we're not in these protests because we saw this coming.
Yep.
We've lived this story. It's been passed down from our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, and it's been uninterrupted. Even if we never cracked a book, we know exactly what this is. We've lived under the boot, and we know what to expect from our counterparts, and we know that this is nowhere near the end. So going out there into the streets, it's just not in our mode to go do that right now. I'm sorry, I just want to put that out there because I think sometimes people get it misconstrued, right? I listened to the great teacher, Minister Farrakhan, and one of the points he was making, and I'm not going to say it as well as he does this because he's an incredible speaker, but we're in a conflicted position. When America catches a cold, we catch the flu, right? We are the brunt of all things negative that happen in this country. But at the same time, this country has never truly been our friend. So if Caesar has been your enemy, and now Caesar is sick, and Caesar's allies are fighting Caesar, and Caesar's fighting his allies, do you get in the middle of that?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so for a lot of us, at least those who think like me, it's like, it's a very conflicted moment. This is my home. I don't want to see my home fall apart because my people don't have the infrastructure we need to best weather what follows. But at the same time, I'm okay with watching Rome burn because Rome, if it wasn't burning, would just be attacking us. So it's a really weird thing. Like when you hear people say, well, we got to protect democracy. When has democracy ever worked for us? Right? The people who were relatively served by democracy want to preserve democracy. Or the people who fear the chaos of the loss of democracy want to preserve democracy. But the people who have always taken the brunt of democracy, we don't fear losing democracy. What we fear is what this next thing will bring. It's not the same thing, right? So it's a complex situation, and that's one of the reasons why I think my community is not engaged the way a lot of others think we should be. I have a different message for my community, which I'll keep on my side of the platform. But I think for all those out there, our allies, our friends, our associates, it's not that we don't care. It's not that we don't see. It's not that we don't appreciate all that you guys are doing. It's just that plantation house is on fire. Some people are wishing that the fire department put out the fire. Some people are wishing that the fire never happened because it wasn't necessary. And some people are praying for a stiff breeze.
All right. So my question to you, Anna, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the second hour. I really appreciate you saying to my Black brothers and sisters to stay at home and be safe. I appreciate that. I really do. So should we start adding the gingers to the same group? Like, I'm just asking a question because of what happened last week.
Say what?
Should the ginger community, which is now the Black community, stay home? You are muted, so you're talking a lot of stuff and nobody can hear you.
I know I'm muted. I'm doing it on purpose because I'm trying not to interrupt you, but you hurting my feelings right now. You hurting my feelings. You hurting my feelings. The ginger community is not Black. You're not Black. That one crazy, well, I'm sorry, that's not nice to say about this lady. That one lady who had her opinion is not gospel. Y'all not Black. Stop it. And all you black people playing around with this mess, you're so desperate to have white folks on your side that you are sitting here playing with this mess. Stop it.
Oh,
Stop it. Let these people live in peace. So, as you were.
Oh my God. The children gotta go outside. Oh, jeez. Woo. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and get into the second.
Wait, you didn't let Anna answer about the genders.
Oh, I'm sorry. She was still stunned. And I need her to not be stunned because, woo. But Anna, did you have an answer?
I love you. I hate you. Fuck off. And I love you.
Oh, God. Everybody, let's go ahead and get into the second hour. Everybody, A-Hole Mafia video of the week. And again, a very special Foxy of the video of the week. And for me to compose myself, 3-minute break to reboot and refresh, and we'll see everybody on the other side. Stay tuned.
Living for weekends, wishing I could take a break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate above the ground and make eye contact with clouds. Now I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free, I always stay dreaming, never imagine I lose my spark. Living in this crazy time, putting back the pieces of my mind. I know how to run from the dark and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate into the clouds. I'm so high above the ground, I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, finally, I wanna be free, higher to a bird. You, I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free, I wanna be free, I wanna be free, I wanna be free,
We are back, and without further ado, let's go ahead and pay those bills. Sorry, Tracy, but my phone is dead, so I can't read out what you sent me. But please Don't forget to go to patreon.com/Tracy Media Fan. Help support Tracy and all of her endeavors. Please do not forget to go to Anna Hart's website, BorelliEtc.com. Learn something that you didn't think you need to know, but you should. Please do not forget to go to Thea's website, OurUnitedCore.com. Communities build movements. And if you need to reach me, you can do so at radtp@outlook.com. That's RADTP@outlook.com. And let's go ahead and get into the Mama Heart Hour. A special change real quick because Foxy is getting ready to go to bed. So I'm just going to show one of the videos and then I'll show it again at the end of the show. But Foxy's videos of the week. So I'm just going to show the two videos that I picked. One is for Foxy herself. She doesn't even know that I got it for her. Ooh. And then one video that Foxy picked herself. So let's get into the one that I picked for Foxy because she just thought it was hilarious. My hair looked like what?
Someone just told me that I have the same haircut as their coochie. I've never been so insecure in my life. I never thought my haircut being coochie haircut would be my biggest insecurity, but it is. Here we are. She was like, I love your hair so much, Bodie. I gave my coochie the same fade that you got. What am I supposed to say to that?
Young man, this is how you flip this one. You say, really? Yo, let me see. Take it as an opportunity.
You don't need to. You got it right on top of your head.
No, it's not. No, because my lineup might be a little bit different. Let's compare products. What are we doing?
Ooh.
You smell my hair, I'll smell yours. You just kind of work it out.
Mine smells like coconut. My curly cream.
Ma'am, you're my sister.
Where we going with this?
Ma'am.
Out the way.
Talking about this hair.
All right. Second video. Foxy picked this out. And I need y'all to pay attention to one thing and one thing only.
Uh-oh.
You can listen to the story. That's fine, because the story is the catalyst of the whole second part of this, okay? Listen to the story, but for the love of God, please pay attention to Anna's face. Ooh, we going to the last video of the night. Should we take this as a beautiful moment, or should we run?
Hey, I just want to say that if I lose you in this lifetime, that I'll find you in every lifetime. And that's a threat. Because where the hell you think you going? You think you're just going to leave me here by myself? Nope. You know too much. And more importantly, I know too much about you. Sorry, bro. That's what you signed up for when you said ride or die. It's not my fault you didn't see the asterisk sign on die. We're going to have our own show on Lifetime. We're going to have renewed seasons and reruns. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Okay.
Oh, Anna. Oh, my God. I watched it an unhealthy amount of times because it was so funny.
I am mortified.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just laughing at the fact that Anna was taking this shit seriously.
Look, please, y'all let Anna be on my case if I go missing. For real. She gonna find me. Woo.
There are some people I would rock the other side for.
Oh, God.
But just to point out, everybody, Foxy chose the video that was hilarious and had Anna's heartfelt reaction to a very disturbing young man.
Oh, he's so disturbing.
Marlon had a video about coochie hair. You know what I'm saying? I'm just no judgment. Well, a little bit of judgment, but no judgment.
There's judgment in there.
You know the good part about being on this you played this last week. I don't think anyone said that to him. He making that up. Yes, he's making it up. Or maybe who knows?
He scripted that,
Some guy pretended to be this guy and matched me in a dating profile a few years ago. Tried to catfish me, but I ain't the one or the two, baby.
It's a terminology of slang, Marlon. Marlon. You ain't never heard that, bro?
Yes, I know. Which one, the catfish or I ain't the one or the two?
The one or the two.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm just like, am I the a-hole?
Interesting.
Because I got one for you too, Diaz. So that's why I went on and took care of those two. But I got one for you, buddy.
Good night, Foxy.
Night, Foxy.
Okay. Y'all have a great week.
You too.
Thank you.
And then she'll be up for another hour. Watch. It's 9:39. You are not going to sleep this early. I know that. You know that. 10 maybe. That's why I went on and played it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video. Outing for being gay.
I'll clarify that, yes, the aunt mentioned is Dave's wife. She didn't know that I was gay, but she never supported me either when his insults came my way. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I came out to my family at 20. Most were cool, but my uncle Dave, who's 45, has always been weird about it, constantly making comments like, "You don't have to act so gay," or "When I was younger, men kept that to themselves." I shrugged it off until last week. At a family dinner, Dave started going off about how pride parades are just perverts wanting attention, and how real men don't flaunt it. When I called him homophobic, he smirked and said, "Your generation's obsessed with labels. Why can't you just be normal?" Here's where I might have been the butthole. I'd suspected that Dave wasn't straight for years. He's always been oddly fixated on my dating life, and once I even spotted him on Grindr. I recognized his torso tattoo in a very not safe for work pic. I never said anything until now. I snapped. That's rich coming from a guy who's on Grindr every weekend. How's that working out for you? Silence. Then my aunt gasped that she had no idea. Dave went pale, knocked over his wine glass, and left. Later, my mom texted me, "You humiliated him. Was that necessary?" Some family members are on my side, but others say that outing him crossed the line, even if he is a butthole. I'm torn. He's been nasty to me for years, but I know how dangerous it is to out someone.
I am not part of the community, so my statement is going to be relatively short. But I would say this. If you waited until you were 20 to come out, and you said that it was, and I assume that wasn't an easy decision, which is why you waited until you were 20. Why would you go nuclear on your uncle? There's ways to push back. There's ways to pull his card. There's ways, to do things. You outed him. And I like I said, I'm not part of that community, but from my friends who are, what I've gathered is that's a big deal. So
that's a very big deal.
Yeah, me, I don't like when people go nuclear anyway. Not on someone that you purport to care about.
I get that His uncle is probably one of the reasons he didn't feel safe to come out to family until 20. I get that it's complicated. But dude, you were the asshole here. You were you went nuclear and outed a man's personal life, could affect his marriage. And yeah, there's a lot of people who serves him right because he's basically cheating. That's between him and his wife. In the gay community, in my experience, when I went to the community center, the first class that I had to sit, and yes, I had to sit if I wanted to be a part of this community, was about consent. And that how important verbal consent is. Not just implied. And how important no is. In fact, if you hear someone say no, you will get people flocking to you. Going, is everything okay here? In my experience, just there are things that are not tolerated. The second class was about privacy, about identity, and about outing people. And we who were in that class, heard heartbreaking stories of just how much this can damage lives. And we're not just talking about the one who maybe was on Grindr. Did his wife deserve to have her life upended that night in public? It was tacky. It was not what an adult, that's what I would say, would do. So it's there's a reason that he felt, oh, I think I messed up there at the end. It was obvious. Because you messed up.
The thing for me was just that it was obviously deeply malicious. It wasn't just reactive, right? He had every right to defend himself. Absolutely. I mean, you're tired of someone pushing and pushing and pushing, especially when the person pushing at you is like a closeted version of yourself. Like
that's a lot of times what pushback comes from. A lot, not all the time. I'm not.
There's a level of jealousy that can be in there. Like, you came out, I didn't
get to.
Right.
Here I am.
I came up in a different era where that wasn't right. So now here you are. There's so many things that I imagine could be at play here.
Yes.
I'm not going to label him a hole only because there's these two layers, which is like what Afra just elevated. I don't agree with going nuclear on someone you care about. But if not for the taboo subject of homosexuality, right? It gets its own special case treatment, right? Because we're talking about outing someone only because there's an LGBTQ element or quotient to it. Would we feel the same way? Would we say the same things if what he was outing his uncle for was being unfaithful to his aunt with another woman? Right? Then probably wouldn't be a lot of consternation going on. It would just be, bro, you blew the spot up like that. But it wouldn't be the extra element of outing someone. Now we could easily spin the conversation to he was looking out for his aunt's best interests, right? I didn't find you on Grindr. I found you on whatever the dating, for farmers only or something, right? The dynamics can shift because you're not in a taboo area. You're not in a sensitive area. So that's one reason I would say that I wouldn't push him into the straight up a-hole. I would just say, bruh, this is your family. You could have just as easily, easier than you blowing up the spot the way you did. You could talk to your uncle because you've had these interactions before. So it's not like this was especially damaging to you. Let's be real. So you could have got your uncle and be like, hey, man, look, you know that I know. You need to back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have that conversation. He chose not to. Instead, he chose to rip the shroud, so to speak. So it's like, that's kind of how I would view it. Like, if we took the sexual orientation angle out of it, all of a sudden it's not the same discussion.
I would still say it's not his place, not in public, to blow up everything.
If I know that my uncle is cheating on my auntie, I might blow up his spot because you're hurting my auntie. Because people aren't going to look at me the same way, though. They're going to look at me like, oh, was that really the best time for you to do, blah, 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 blah. But it wouldn't be I'm the bad guy per se if it's true, right? So it's just these different family dynamics are always difficult anyway. But once you bring in that second layer, it's easier to kind of like draw different inferences, I think. Because like I would never knowingly out someone for their sexual proclivities. I wouldn't do that, right? But then there's also another angle to that as well. If he's out on Grindr and dealing with other people and all of that, does his wife even know he has this side of him? Right? And whatever he's doing out in the streets, it's just like anybody else who's cheating. If you're out there doing this in the streets, you're bringing that back home to your wife. And she isn't even aware that she's in that lifestyle. She don't even know that she's subject to these situations. Right? Yep. So it gets real messy real quick.
I mean, I just think there's a kinder way. If you gotta, sure. There's a kinder way to go about it.
Yeah. And for me, it's not about kindness. It's more about tact.
I know.
Like, you ain't had to out that, man. Not like that. You could have pulled this card another way. But Marlon, go ahead with your pettiness. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't think I'm about to say is petty at all. Not at all. I get the danger of outing somebody. I know how dangerous it can be. And I mean, I've read the horror stories. You know how many read stories I listen to. So there's a lot of those in there too. Now, I'm going to put that to the side because I know in the next couple of minutes that I'm going to talk, neither one of y'all going to like me. But whatever, we family. Here's the deal. Y'all motherfuckers stood around and watched this uncle talk shit to his nephew all this damn time. Y'all didn't say a motherfucking thing to him about being a grown man because he is the uncle. He's the grown up. He's the one that should know when to shut the fuck up, especially when you're the gay one. Shut the fuck up because you don't want your spot blown up. You would think you would be the one to keep your fucking mouth shut. But no, you kept bringing up the pride parade. You the one that blew up his spot over and over. I'm sorry. I just got to get this off my chest. I am so sick and tired of the victim always being the motherfucker have to be the big person, to be the bigger person. The damn person who's doing all the bullshit gets away with it. But as soon as the victim fights back, you should have not did that. Shut the fuck up. Not only should I have done it, I should have done it sooner. And then you made even a greater point. My aunt, bruh, you're cheating. Take the sexuality out of it. Period, public. Take the sexuality completely out of it. Grindr or Tinder, what's the fucking difference? It's another person that's not your marriage. You need to blow that spot up. But I'm sorry, I'm with Afra on this. It is not but so much you can take, especially when you're not even bringing the shit up. If I'm a gay person and I walk into the room and you already know I'm a gay person and the first thing come out your mouth, pride parade ain't nothing but a bunch of perverts trying to get a tick. Trick, you ain't even said hello. You just went straight to that point. Every time you see me, that's all you think about while you're doing the exact same thing. Because believe me, undercover brothers really piss me off.
Why I gotta be the undercover brother, man?
Because it's the same thing as cheating.
I'm saying all the undercovers. Because undercover brother has a particular connotation.
I say undercover brother, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But cheating is cheating.
I agree.
But if you know you was doing this and you knew you was gay or bi or whatever, the smarter thing for you, uncle, is to shut the fuck up. But no, not only did you not shut the fuck up, you became a damn bully for doing the exact same thing that your nephew was doing.
Which is a big part of the Republican Party. Sorry, just had to say it. I'm saying every spring when the flowers come up, somebody come out. I swear they get caught. And then they be the main ones that were attacking the LGBTQ community. They'd be the main ones. Mm-hmm. Or every time that they have a big conference, a big Republican conference, the Grindr hits go through the roof.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes, it does.
But no, I get what you're saying, Marlon. And I understand that. I'm just saying,
yep.
It's the family dynamic piece is the only part
I'm just doing your layer thing. I'm doing your layer thing. Because I'm taking the sexuality out of it. I'm taking the family thing out of it. I'm taking all of that out of it. I'm just purely on the point of I'm sick of hearing stories of family, watching family be verbally abused over and over and over and over and over again for no apparent reason. And as soon as the victim fights back, you want them to be the bigger person. Fuck off. And I do mean for the whole damn family because you watch them do it. But as soon as I embarrass his ass, now you want me to be the bigger person. And I'm going to tell you why that pisses me off. Because you know he was fucking up. And you was okay with it.
You mean they know that he was under...
They know that he was wrong. They know what he was doing and saying was wrong. But because he didn't say anything about... Because you
agreed with him.
Didn't say anything about it. We just going to let the shit go instead of saying, hey, I'm sorry, excuse me. That's my son. And what you're not going to fucking do is come in my house and talk shit to my son inside my house. outside my house on top of the fucking roof. That's my son. I don't care if he's 20, 30,
That
or
would be a
40.
great
I'm
response.
for protection. You not gonna fuck with my kid.
I 100% agree with that.
But you, all of a sudden, you took the damn other. How did you embarrass him like that? Because he embarrassed me for so damn long, and you stood there and watched it, Mom. That's why.
Yeah.
What happens with the marriage thing? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I'm not gonna say I don't care because that's not true with me. I don't know. But when I know I'm being realistic, when I say emotions just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow to the point where either you're going to get it off and be theists and have, hey, bro, I'm pulling you to the side, let you know, I know, you know, I know, and you know, I know, and you know. Or you could be me and just go, what he did. And the funny thing about it, though, Uncle, is you don't know which one you gonna get. So that's why I said you basically need to shut the fuck up.
That part.
So there'll be no problem whatsoever. You don't know which part of radical truth you gonna get. Could get this, you could get me, you could get Anna. But you don't know which part it is. So since you don't know which part it is, the best part for you was to shut the fuck up.
And which goes back to points that I've made before. You know, the uncle did not have to be a bully. Whatever his motivations for being a bully, he was still being a bully. And when you do that, your actions will have consequences. And you don't get to choose the consequences.
It's nuances here, though, Anna. It's almost like being admonished for shouting about not wanting this man to touch him that assaulted him, and then everybody said he ousted him by calling assault.
I'm not sure I'm really following that part because in that scenario, he's a direct victim.
Yeah.
But
no, I follow the point. Like, this is layered.
Well, the man was assaulting him, and he was reacting / defensive. The uncle was more a-hole because the uncle was assaulting him verbally. It was a persistent abuse, and he was targeting him harshly.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that. Because like I was saying, that's why I won't call the OP. Is that how you refer to these people? I wouldn't call the OP an a-hole. I'm just saying that I just don't think that you go nuclear unless you're ready for nuclear. And maybe he was ready for nuclear, so that's why he went nuclear. Yeah. Right? But no, he's not the a-hole. The uncle's a-hole. Like, literally, he's reacting to provocation. So it's like, don't want the reaction, don't provoke.
That's my point. Exactly, Marlon. Uncle is abusive. The same type that commits other abuse because of self-hate. He's also abusing wife.
Yep. Unless the wife knows.
He abusing his wife is amongst a group of women most vulnerable to harm because he's not only a cheater, but a self-hater and likely emotionally and physically and sexually abusive.
Yeah, and okay, so just as a scenario, what if the wife did know, was a consenting partner to all of this, and you just outed their personal business to the family?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was nuclear. But it still goes back to the point that Marlon was making. None of this would even happen if you didn't keep swinging at me.
If the
Because I have to look at the mom, didn't do anything. Now I have to look at it, and I'm going with you, Anna.
See, now you're reaching into everybody in the family. So,
well, the aunt did know about it. The aunt didn't do anything about it. The aunt didn't say, "Bruh, you're my husband. I need you to stop saying some of this stuff because I know what you do."
Well, see, now I think we're going way out into left field a little bit.
Didn't he say in the story that no one
spoke up for him?
Yeah.
Right.
No one spoke up for
But
him.
we don't know. I mean, what I'm saying, we going out there now, right? We really out there now because for one thing, we don't know what the family's attitudes are towards homosexuality. We don't know
Right.
where they sit in their religion type situations. We
Mhm.
don't know their social dynamics. There are so many layers and crap that we don't even need to consider, right? We can just focus on what happened, which is this dude was abusing this kid because he's still a kid.
I kind of have to disagree with you on that, because the 20-year-old, the OP, came out when he was 20.
Right.
He's not saying anybody else is saying anything to him about him being gay.
He didn't say they did nor didn't.
That uncle.
Right, because that's the one who bothered him. But what I'm saying is you do not know. There's such thing as not speaking on it doesn't mean you agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could still be an environment where he still knew when he was 15, when his sexuality started to even out, he knew not to come out then. When he was 17 and 18 and he was really more sure of where he stood, he knew not to come out then. He came out when he felt that it was the best time for him to come out, which is 20. 20 says to me, college or out of the house, or at least you're standing in your own self at this point, right? So that's what I'm saying. We can get way out there, right? And then say, well, the mom didn't speak up, or maybe his dad wasn't in the picture, and he was abused when he was 7, or like, we could literally go into all these different things that we really do not know. What we do know is, with reasonable certainty, we do know that the uncle is still closeted. The uncle was being a bully. I think it's reasonable to assume that the uncle was being a bully out of more of a ego and jealousy thing than anything else, but he still was being a bully to someone he's supposed to protect. That's your nephew, right? And then the nephew is now grown. He's tired of all this crap, so he pushed back. And when he pushed back at the time that it was just gotten too much for him, and he fought with what he had. And this is something he had, right? So it's like all these things can be 100% justified. This is messy family dynamics. I'm just saying that he chose the most nuclear way to kind of go at it, which is where I would question it. But I'm like 18,000 degrees removed, right? Like, I'm the spectator in the stands watching the show, you know. But at the time somebody hits you, you know, use that as an example. Somebody slaps you. Do I elbow them? Do I punch them? Do I trip them? Do I run away? Right? Who knows? This is how he reacted, right? He got slapped and he reacted, you know, and now we get to kind of, like, you know, armchair quarterback it.
And I guess the only thing that I would say that I would have an issue with OP, that I really would have an issue with OP, if the uncle said something just one time. Because to me, that's nuclear to me. If he just looked at him and said something homophobic. Bro, I see you on Grindr. What are you talking about in that lane?
I don't know.
Wow.
I think it doesn't change it. I don't think it changes it.
I think, but it does to me, because it feels like the dude took the higher ground.
Who did?
He just OP.
Oh.
Took the high ground and just didn't say anything. I just think the pressure built. So
no, I agree with that. But I'm saying, like, how many times does a person get slapped before it's justified for them to swing back? But, you know, I'm also the type of person who I try not to engage in such things, because I know that I overreact, right? I truly believe in, if you slap me, I'm gonna punch you. If you know what I'm saying? Like I said, if you meet me with a slap, I'm gonna meet you with a fist. You meet me with a fist, I'm gonna meet you with a brick. You meet me with a brick, I'm gonna meet you with something else, right? Like, so given that, I am kind of predisposed to, how do I avoid the escalatory situation? But everybody's not set that way. So if the uncle insulted him one time, he could have reacted this exact same way then. He just didn't have the information then. But the frustration, like you were saying, is continuing to build, you know, because there's a power dynamic here. This is your uncle, right? So you're trying to be deferential to your uncle even when he's kind of out of pocket. I don't know about y'all, but I've had family members that are older than me that'd be a little woo, and you'd be like, you know, I'm gonna let this ride. I gotta let this ride. You know, this is just how he is. It's just how she is. You know, she's aggressive. She's combative. He's moody. He curses a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make allowances for people in your family because you can't take offense to everything like they're somebody off the street. But it's still internally building. And I think with the breaking point for this young man, he probably would have continued to deal with it. And he just keeps his uncle at arm's length. And is, you know, every once in a while, I got to go to mama's house. And we, you know, he would have kept it there if it wasn't for the fact that everything started to add up and it started to click when he saw that picture. And at that point, it all crystallized, right? Now I'm not making allowances for my uncle who gets out of pocket because he's a little homophobic. No, now I'm dealing with an uncle who's not homophobic at all. He's a hypocrite. Game just changed. And I think that's what happened. I would have personally, I do think sometimes you need to show restraint, even when you're not responsible to show restraint, because that's what I believe in. But he chose not to. You know.
The one thing I will say is that, okay, so I take back what I said. That I said he's kind of an asshole. You're right. He's not. He gave back what he was getting. It's understandable. This is not how I would go about a situation. I have been in the the Thanksgiving situation where I have a trans family member. I have an older person who doesn't believe in climate change and Catholic and doesn't understand this queer stuff. The right thing to do there is to speak up and say, you know, it's not this queer stuff. It's their life. It's your family. You know, everything that we said here. Yes. That uncle deserved to be checked. I personally, I don't like the outing.
I don't like the outcome. I get. All I'm saying is, I
don't feel bad for Auntie.
Me and Foxy, our daughter is gay.
Right.
You can feel whatever the fuck you want to feel, but you better make sure me and Foxy don't hear about it. I promise you that. I promise you will automatically feel nuclear. I ain't got to think about what I'm going to do. I already know what I'm going to do, and Foxy is worse than me.
No, I feel you, because I share those same situations and feelings. You know, I tried not to project that onto this. You know what I'm saying? So, but that helps. What you just said makes more sense. Why you were saying, hey, well, what about the parents who didn't step up to, provide shelter? So now I understand, right? So I get that. But yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. For me, it goes back to, you know, it, and that's why it's tricky. I think that's why it's tricky, right? Because it's like the outing aspect of it is the really only like part I'm like, well, right? Only that part. That's literally the only part. Everything else, I'm just like, yo, man, you should have kept your mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? You ain't have to sit here and abuse this kid, you know? But you know, it's there's ways that you fight. I guess that's the big thing. Right? There's ways that you fight. So like, what if the uncle wasn't, you know, a closeted queer person, but instead the uncle suffered from like erectile dysfunction and you found out about it because you saw the pills in his cabinet? Would you use that? Right? He's getting on your nerves because he's told one too many gay jokes. You gonna toss that one out there at the family dinner, right? You got the ammunition. You gonna do that?
But you changed the dynamic, which would change my answer, because if he would have used that to fight him back, yeah, OP, you would have been the a-hole.
No, I agree.
That's not. Now, so I can change the dynamic of OP is a gay, OP is married, but OP and his wife can't have kids because something is going on between one of them two. And now he's talking about, you can't have kids. A real man would have had 3 kids by now. What kind of man would you be? You can't even grow a family and everything. And now we find the pills. Does he bring it up now? Yeah. Because you're embarrassing me in front of the whole family, calling me less of a man and everything else. Meanwhile, here you are with a medicine cabinet full of pills.
Does that make him less of a man?
No.
See, it's all about how you fight. It's all about there's no equal ground that you're going to find here. It's going to be a matter of you're fighting now. And when you're fighting, you're fighting. I just say that your relationship should dictate how hard you fight. But this young man chose to go swing for the fences, and that's what he chose to do. And he never would have done it if the uncle didn't keep pushing him. So it's, you know, it's like here's another extreme example, since we're playing with extreme examples, right? You have a spouse.
Well, keep talking. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
But you have a spouse who is constantly emotionally and physically abused, and the spouse goes to the police, gets a restraining order. That doesn't mean anything. The spouse goes back, gets a protective order. Well, that doesn't really mean anything either. This is all paper. And then one day the spouse is taking yet another abusive situation, and they finalize the experience with their abuser. But they finalize them not in the heat of the abuse, but after the abuse. Now, should they be prosecuted for it? So it's like we can always play all these different things. That's why we have a court of law. But I'm just saying, like, you don't get to dictate what options become available. Like each time we do something, we have set a new set of choices in front of ourselves. And I don't think most people think that way. I'm pretty confident most people don't think that way. Most people react and then they deal with whatever happens next. They don't look at it as each decision creates a new decision tree.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
But I wish the young man the best.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I understand where he was coming from, understand the anger. He was justified in fighting back.
Yep.
For sure.
It's like fighting a drunk at the bar. You know this guy's intoxicated. You know he's not in his right mind. Sometimes you got to put the drunk on his butt, you know? And then everybody at the end is going to be like, well, you know he was, just look at him. You know he was drunk.
He wasn't in his right mind.
Hey, he was pushing up on me at the wrong time, and I tried to let him off, but he wasn't hearing me because he was drunk. And it was either wait to see what he was going to do, or we go ahead and finish this right quick. Right. So it's like, I think that's just the complications of life. And at the end of the day, it's easy to second guess how somebody reacts. But this is one of those few stories that you play for us where I'm just like, no, P, you're not. You're not. You know?
One of the people that I listen to has a great statement. I'm basing it off of what you just said, Theo. Everybody's a general after the war. With me, everybody has the greatest ideas what they could have possibly been after the whole situation occurred.
Yeah. Or as Mike Tyson say, everybody got a plan till you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Right. So, you listen to it, any sport, like people who are sports people, like Marlon, you're football.
Yeah, I'm football.
Some people are basketball, some people are whatever. But what do you always hear? Boxers, especially, you hear them say, "Hey, bro, hit him with a cross. Hit him. He should have done an uppercut, and then he should have like slipped to the left." And you weren't the one standing there getting swung on. So it's easy to be outside in the cheap seats and be like, well, like I said when I gave my critique, well, I really would have preferred that he waited for another time and took his uncle inside and said, "Hey, man, you're messing up, and I need you to consider the fact that I know it. You don't want them to know." But that's me sitting in the cheap seats.
Right.
So,
and the fun thing about it is I have to think of it this way. I have to be realistic. Ooh, I'm getting real inspiration all of a sudden. The levels. This is in my head with levels. Everything is a level to me now. What I had felt this way, what I had felt the way that I felt if my daughter wasn't gay. Would I feel the way I feel? I have to take that into consideration. Would I take into consideration if I knew absolutely nothing about the dangers of outing somebody? It's so many levels that changes the narrative of the exact same story.
Yeah.
You could change one sentence and it changes the narrative, which changed the conclusion.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why, I don't know if you've noticed, but when we're talking about a lot of like racial issues, MAGA issues, things like that, I try to present a different way of approaching the argument, right? It's not as simple as white and black. It's just not. And one of the things that separates most of us from our conservatives counterparts is conservatives, generally speaking, they are experiential learners. If it didn't touch them, it's not real. So they're able to rely on their theories. They're really to rely on their beliefs because they haven't been touched by it, right? We all know the stories of the bigot who hated black people until his daughter or his granddaughter brought that mixed baby home. And now all of a sudden he has his awakening, right? Or the teacher who thought all poor black kids were gangbangers and troublemakers, and then they taught them how to dance. Like people Save the Laughs Dance is a movie, right? Dangerous Minds, another movie, right? We all have the white savior movies that come out. But I say those things because we do the same things on our side as quote unquote liberals. We're just not at the same degree, right? Like for me to understand more of the queer community, or not even understand because I don't, but to be more empathetic and understanding, when I was younger, something had to break through my shell. Something had to cross that part where I was like, oh, I'm wrong. I'm just wrong. Like there's no, well, I didn't understand. No, I'm just wrong, right? That same dynamic happens all across the board and all these different things. And I think that sometimes we got to give people a little bit more grace. It doesn't mean you ain't got to fight them. It just helps you understand what you're fighting, right? Because we hear it all the time politically where they'll say, well, all MAGAs are racist. No, they're not. And so when you label them racist, the ones who aren't racist automatically won't listen to anything else you got to say.
Just
that's not their motivation.
It's like what I'm doing now, because you probably made some of the greatest points ever on this show, but my God, I didn't hear a word you said after. The teacher thought every black person was a game banger and everything else. Wait, you're going to teach me how to dance? I was wrong about your whole race the whole time.
You act like you ain't seen these movies.
That was the worst Hallmark movie I've ever heard in my life.
But the underlying thing is just like some people have to be touched. And that's part of what like some of the work that Anna advocates for sometimes, where you and I will express a complete impatience and we ain't trying to talk to these people at all.
No.
But Anna still sees the humanity of the situation, saying, hey, maybe changing this one person won't change the situation, but it will change the situation for this one person.
For this one person, yeah. All right, everybody, let's get to pushing. Mafia video of the week. So this, let's see if you can remember this. Let's see if you can remember the fact that if this happens, you might as well just cancel your whole Sunday because you're not getting out of church no time soon.
The Holy Soul Train line. But no, that's not what I would take from it. That I wouldn't think none of it. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't think none of it. I guess I'm just that I'm not country, but the churches that I've grown up in are country. So I that's just them coming in. It's probably like Women's Day. What's another one, Marlon? You got Women's Day. You got Youth Sunday, but that wouldn't be this.
No. But you're going to days, and I'm looking at more, especially with the video show. The choir is what I saw that as.
If the choir's walking, I ain't never seen the choir walk in like that. But yeah, if the choir's walking in like that, you're gonna be there for a minute.
I have. I've seen the choir, yes. All the way to the back, marching up to the front, getting on the pews. Oh yeah. Yes, I have.
Good performers.
That sounds like that's probably one of those. For me, that would be one of those special things. Like I said, Women's Day or Family and Friends Day. Definitely a Family and Friends Day, or a church anniversary, church reunion, family picnic, Family and Friends Day. Oh my goodness, we have so many little
Family and Friends Day. Woo! It says you better pack a lunch, but it's not much help if you have to wait it over to eat it.
That's true, Parker, because you ain't not leaving that pew.
No.
You are there.
You got and by the way, you got one bathroom break. What?
Well, it doesn't matter because the bathroom usually ain't got but like room for two people to be in there anyway. So but yeah, you're gonna be there for a while, man. That's why I look back at my youth, which would be my teenage years, and it's like I look back at it fondly, but I wouldn't want to do it again.
No. Fox News video of the week. No. Two videos since I already showed the last two videos. And this, like I said, I got a video for you because I really want your outtake on it.
I thought that was the last one.
I
thought that was the one we just did.
No, that was my video of the week. But two videos for Fox News video of the week.
Too fierce. I he had brought in the whole Muppet.
Ooh, I'm glad we are next weekend. Y'all be.
Oh, so we are off next weekend?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Last weekend. Yes.
Yes. I don't even know why you even asked this, because you're gonna text us going, "Are we off this weekend?" Yeah.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes. Or the day before, be like, "Hey guys, so."
And I will be the one getting ready when there is no show.
What had happened was, by the way, don't even worry about it because I'll get emails going, "There's no show today." Really? No.
Hey, but y'all can
from the community boards, you know.
Well, that's not even true. I'll get a text. I know who the text is from, and that's what kills me because it'll be from Tracy. I thought it was a show this weekend. No, Tracy, I literally told you there was no show this weekend. And then
y'all can, at your leisure, y'all can mosey on over to OurUnitedCore.com. We got a new episode.
Yes, you can. Yep.
It's not on YouTube.
Y'all out? Not yet. We got two videos to show. One I was holding for Thea's personally. This weekend is confusing because the first of the month is on a Sunday. I know that's what's throwing everybody off because we literally did 4 weeks. And it's been a long time since we did 4 weeks. Look, Thea's is already yawning. Poor baby. Let me go ahead and get this video. Let me go ahead and get his video out of the way. Same excuses.
Would I love every black person in this country to get $1 million check and 100 acres of land? Absolutely. Are they owed that amount? 100%, if not more. Black people who would get that, it would bankrupt the whole country.
For the people that built the country to make you that fuck money, all of a sudden now you worried about being bankrupt when you spend trillions of dollars on defense, trillions of dollars on unnecessary, trillions of dollars to send black men, especially to jail, trillions of dollars to drug the fuck up our whole country, trillions of dollars to fuck the food up, to fuck the air up, to fuck the water up, trillions of dollars to make people sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker in this country, but you mad? We don't have the money because plain and motherfucking simple, you do not like black people. It is very obvious. For hundreds of years, we've been the most hated. Within that hatred comes the hypocrisy of loving our culture. You've made trillions off of our motherfucking culture. White musicians, all of them have made money off of black fucking culture. All of rock, all of jazz, all the shit we created from the oppression, which is in itself. The oppression and the fucking abuse and the rape and the putting down of us, we create blues, jazz, rock and roll, reggae, ska. We invent all of that shit. And to top it off, we invent all the mod that you all use. From the video game cartridge, Henry Lawson. We got the pacemaker, Otis Boynton. We have the late Dr. Bath, who created the laser eye surgery. We have Dr. Gladys, who's still alive, who's almost 80 years old, who created GPS. We have the guy who created the algorithm for Instagram, who's a 21-year-old Ghanaian kid. We've done all this shit. Then the internet was discovered by a Nigerian guy in the 80s. Like, we've done all of this innovation, even though we've been shit on and continue to be shit on every motherfucking day, right? Because nobody wants us to live anywhere. Nobody wants us to have this unless we're playing sports for them athletically or sexually satisfying. All black people are good for. We're supposed to be at people's beck and fucking call when they want us to entertain them or make them some kind of money. But if we ask for being autonomously wealthy on our own, being autonomously having our own shit, all of a sudden everybody pitches everybody has a fucking hissy fit. You don't want us in your neighborhood. You don't want us in your schools. You don't want us doing anything. But then when we say, hey, okay, that's cool, because Muhammad Ali said, hey, man, I think we should have our own state. I don't want to live amongst you. Like, well, why not? You don't want us around. You're segregating everything. And then as soon as we want to go, white people start panicking. You know, we don't want to be around you, so you can call us. We're tired of white cops shooting us. We're tired of this pissing contest that these white cops have because they're afraid of black dicks for some reason. Because most of this shit, black dick envy. We're tired of that. So what about this? Why don't we just give us what you owe us and we can go on and do our own shit? But no, they don't want that. White folks especially hate autonomous black happiness. They do not like when we are by ourselves doing our own shit. They cannot stand that. They don't even like us in a group. Whites always got to have their hand in our shit. And if they're not part of it, then we're back to being spoons and spades. And
I love Godfrey. He's one of the most intelligent brothers out there doing his thing. And he does it with humor and absolute insight. And I love that he was going right at it on this one. What I don't like is that he was doing it on Vlad's platform. I think that Vlad is a parasite. I believe that he is garbage as far as what he does to the culture. He is a culture vulture. He's a white guy who just basically pretends to have half of a concern for black people, but he uses our stories to make him a lot of money. He is not an advocate. He is very deeply problematic, but he has found a way to make money off of us. So I don't like that. I wish we would just leave that whole platform alone. You know what I'm saying? Fuck Vlad. All right. But what Godfrey was saying, it's 100% right, man. I mean, that's why you hear me saying uncenter whiteness. And it's also why, even though I got white friends, you guys have heard me say it, man. I'd be just fine if I could live somewhere and never have to deal with white folks again. Because that's just where we at. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why America will never try to settle its quote unquote debt to us is because they just don't care that much about us. That's what it is. We're not worth it to them. And the struggle we keep dealing with is we want to somehow find the magic key to help them get through whatever is holding them back from seeing us as their equals. No. You were born free. All of you, no matter what your color and your background is. We were all born free. The degree of freedom that you lost is because someone else took it from you. That's the reality. You were not born into slavery. You were born and then enslaved. You were not born into poverty. You were born and then poor.
Right.
If you have fallen through somebody else's birth canal and they are in a better financial situation, you were born and then made rich. You know? So I 100% feel what bro is saying. And I just think that it's a wasted argument, which is why you don't hear it from me as much as you guys used to hear it from me. Like, who am I trying to convince? Somebody who doesn't want to acknowledge my humanity? If you already don't want to acknowledge my humanity, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to help you do it, right? If you already don't know my history, if you're over age 25 and you don't have a loose concept of the history of this nation, it's because you choose not to. It's not because you just don't know. You've chosen not to know. And if you're that blind to us, then I know you're blind to yourself and you're blind to everyone else. And another point I've also made is I grew up extremely integrated. I live an extremely integrated life. I don't have a problem with that. But by growing up in an integrated world, I am integrated into their world. They're not integrated into mine. So I know what they weren't taught because I wasn't taught either. See what I'm saying? Like, they don't know about Garvey and Elijah Muhammad and Sojourner Truth, and they don't Nat Turner, and they don't know those stories, especially not from the angle that we know them, because they're not integrated into our world. But we had to learn about Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and all that other crap, but they didn't have to learn the opposite side of that story, right? So when you understand that, you can stop expecting something that they're simply not able to give you. What they are able to do, though, is make restitution. Making restitution is a decision, and they're choosing not to. They choose to send money, just using an example, because I'm not saying don't send the money, but they choose to send money to Israel because of the historic oppression and horrible things that their people suffered at the hand of fellow Europeans. America chooses to do that. America made restitution to some degree to the survivors of Japanese internment. They chose to make some level of restitution to the survivors of the Native American genocide. They chose to make restitution to the white slaveholders and their families that lost their income and their ability to earn a living out of the loss of slavery. They chose to do that. So they're also choosing not to make restitution for slavery when it's all in our face. We all see that. Regardless of how much sensitivity training you've had, how much education you've got or anything, we all know that slavery happened, right? Your level of awareness varies, but we all know it. So that's a conscious decision. And it's what I believe is happening is the Eurocentric American ethos is how do we outrun it? We can continue to not look directly at it, not make restitution for it. In fact, villainize my community for the aspects of my community that we're not able to beat the system enough to have a better experience. And so you villainize their behaviors. If we can just do that and then make them all like that, then we never have to make restitution because we can label them all a criminal society. And that's the game. So yeah, Godfrey, I appreciate you, bro. The information you said, the things you were saying, you were really not saying that to Vlad. You were saying that to us. You were saying it to your people, so that those that can hear it with an ear to hear can hear it, you know. But I'm not one for conversion therapy, man. Like, I'm past.
You wasn't on here last week, Diz, when I was saying this last week. I'll just make this as quick as I can. And please stop saying that the Black community need to get their own. White people are not going to want us to get our own. We've tried 3 times in history that I know of, and I may be missing it. I may be missing more. Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had our own. You drop bombs from planes to destroy it. I gave homework last week for everybody to look up and realize that Central Park in New York City did not start off at Central Park.
There's hundreds of those.
But the third one, and finally, and I know I was going to forget it, and Parker, I appreciate you even looking it up, but if anybody can find a lake that, find a town that's right now underwater, that was also a Black community.
Okay, that's up here where I live. I forgot the name of it. It's because it kills people every year. But
Parker looked it up last week, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I was going to flat out forget it next week. But my point is, cut that bullshit out. You don't want us to have our own. Tulsa, Oklahoma was from one person, one white person, saying a Black dude whistled at a white woman. We don't need no verification. We don't need to know who the woman was. And by the way, what's so funny about the story is we don't even know if the Black dude was staying in that town. It didn't matter. All we needed was a catalyst. We needed a reason. And you destroyed it. Piece by piece. You destroyed a whole town to find one guy. Get the fuck out of here. Please.
The important thing that you were just saying, bro, Yes, that happened, but I'm saying that happens hundreds of times where a white woman alleges that she was touched, looked at, or anything of that nature. I want to say the young man name was Tenney, the youngest person to ever be electrocuted on an electric chair. He's like 12-year-old black boy. Okay, so all because they alleged that he did something to two little white girls. Where I live here in Lawrenceville, lynch mob went into a courthouse to get a guy who was innocent, pull him out of the courthouse and lynch him right here in downtown Lawrenceville. So the history is very clear. The brutality, the cruelty is clear. Like when you look at what's happening to us right now, that's one of the reasons you don't see me getting elevated about a lot of things. I know the nature of that which I deal with. So I'm not immune to the cruelty. I'm just saying, hello, familiar friend. Welcome back. It's, because everybody says, well, I'm not my ancestors. Nah, but I think you kind of are. And so are we. So are all of us. That energy is still out there. It just rotates and recycles. Seneca Village, yeah. Lake Lanier, right?
Hey, let me cut you off real quick there because I was trying to make a quick point. Just a quick point. Because Tulsa, Oklahoma was the violence from bullshit. Seneca Village, that's government.
That's Central Park. Mm-hmm.
That was somebody who just decided, and Lake Lanier too.
Mm-hmm.
They decided, we just need this. Where can we put this? And it just so happened to be those areas.
No, it was intentionally those areas.
Yeah. I was being sarcastic. Trust me.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro.
No problem. No problem at all. It just so happened to be those areas, right? Just only those areas. You could not find anything else.
Your interstate system.
The interstate system.
Why are our HBCUs all located in the quote unquote hood? Right. There's a host of things. But what I would love for, and this is what I do on our United Core in the 3R project, we can go and diagnose all these things of the past, all we want. And then it's important because we don't want to let this history die. So you want to make sure you continue to put the information out there because our ancestors need to be recognized. Whether the other community wants to accept it or not, it's irrelevant. We owe it to our ancestors to not let their stories die. But now, what do we do with it? And right, it hasn't happened just yet. The portion of the white community that is opposed to us, that is opposing our history, because they're not opposing our history, they're opposing their history. Right. And that's one thing that's super important that we have to learn. This is why I say we have to uncenter whiteness, because we have allowed the framing to be that this is Black history. No, it's white history. Black history is how we've responded. Black history is how we've survived. Black history is how we've learned to thrive. White history was the assault. White history was the oppression. White history was the destruction, right?
Yeah.
Got to put this stuff where it is, and that all begins with centering yourself, calming your mind for a moment so that you can sift through different pieces of information and then say, how do we move from here? Because you're never going to fix what was done. Never. I don't care what your best interests are, or what your feelings are. Even if America wanted to make amends for all the things it's done to all the different minorities across all of its history, it can't do it. Can't do it. And we're not asking you to. Actually, we're asking you to just start to make amends for it moving forward. Acknowledge it for one. Stop trying to act like we're crazy. Yeah. Like, come on. But even within that, speaking to my community, if someone owes you $20, you don't forget that they owe you $20, but you don't pause your life until you get that $20 back. You go out and you put in the work and you try to get what you can going forward. But every time that person comes across you, you remind them, hey, where's my $20? I want my money. Right? But you still got to build. We still have to do things. They're coming after our schools. Our children still have to be educated. You just going to sit back and while they do this, right? No, you're going to find a way to educate your children. So let's get started on it. You know, they're going to stop employing us, or they're going to want to push us into sectors that we don't want to work in. All right. So one, either you get ahead of that and start to develop footholds in those sectors that you know they're going to push you into, so that now you can be the one who employs your people and gives them the best experiences and opportunities within those sectors. And you build other sectors so that you can keep employing your people in the other areas that are not related to those sectors. This is how you fight back, folks. This is the Black resistance. And that's what I talk about. That's what I believe in. That's what I push. I'm not interested in trying to punish white people for being white people. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's useful. I don't think it's going to get you anywhere. America owes us a debt. White people don't owe us anything, not the ones that are alive right now. They don't owe us much of anything, except for to stop being assholes when the ones that are being assholes. But America owes us. Make your claim against America. But I'm just one voice, and I could be wrong. So,
Anna, you got the last word. Nope, nothing. Okay. Well, we're definitely not going to end off on that note, because we're not here next week. We're going to go. We're going to go off on a good note. A funny note. I ain't gonna say good, because as soon as I play this video, there's a have about 50,000 fucking damn opinions about it. But I'm gonna play the damn video anyway. If you have, this is the last video of the night. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button. I truly appreciate it. And wow, that escalated.
I always liked to work outdoors, but when my allergies got the best of me, I thought those days were gone. Then I asked my doctor about Levitol, and he said, Levitol? What is that? I said, I don't know, I think it's an allergy medication. So he said, Levitol? Levitol? Oh, do you mean Levitrol? Kind of snooty-like. So I was like, oh, my bad, Levitrol. So he said, yeah, I've definitely heard of Levitrol, not Levitol, but then again, what do I know? I'm just a doctor. So I said, can Levitrol help me? And he said, sure, it'll cure all of your allergies with little or no side effects, but it's not a miracle drug. It can't cure gay. And I was like, what? And he's like, it can't cure gay. And I said, first of all, I'm not gay. And second of all, gay's not a disease. And he's like, wow, you're pretty smart, fancy britches. I said, don't talk to me like that, you son of a bitch. And he's like, what, you blowing up on me, sugar? You want to throw down? Because I will drop you like a bad transmission. And I'm like, I don't want to fight. I just want to know if Levitrol is right for me. He said, I already told you it's right for you. I was like, screw you. And I threw a punch at him, but he did some kind of kung fu block. And I was like this, and he punched me in the throat. And I must have blacked out, because the next thing I remember is I woke up on the roof of the parking garage in nothing but my underwear. And I was so cold. So very, very cold. So, if you suffer from allergies, then ask your doctor about Levitol. Troll! Levitol! Stop!
You're still muted.
I was saying, part of me wants to laugh because I like how it just continued to go, and it went on a whole nother tangent and all that. But he went into the kind of trauma story that I can't laugh at. But yeah, he's a very talented cat, and we've all thought about that, right? Like, wait a minute. So these commercials are telling me to go to my doctor
and ask about a medication,
right? Like,
yeah.
Hey doc, can I get Papa Tupa topping? Yeah, I
Was
guess we
that
could.
thing on the TV? Help me.
Right? Like, But then me, I'll go down another tangent, but I'm not allowed to because Marlon already said that I do too much of that.
I knew you was gonna do it. I just knew that.
But yeah, I think it was humorous. It's late, so I'm too serious at the moment. But yeah, I like how he continued to wind up and and then at the end pretend like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be doing a commercial. But the trauma was still there. It was a serious yet lighthearted thing for me. That's why I can't just laugh.
I thought it was just funny because it just escalated. So Lebatol, like, Doc, what is your problem? But then again, I showed a video last week where they, and if you can remember the side effects video, constipation, death, blindness, deafness, constipation, blah blah. And I'm like, what exactly was this supposed to cure? Because your side effects is worse than whatever it is that you're trying to cure.
I mean, it gets even worse than that when you get on medications, because this medication will say headache, insomnia, hypertension, moodiness, all these things. I have all these things. But you need the medication because it helps with your heart, right? And then they'll give you another medication
To help with the
because it has to help with those symptoms. But then that medication needs a different medication to keep it from destroying your stomach lining and your intestinal system. And then you get another medication. It's this spiral, and next thing you know, you're on a cocktail, and you can't just quit because each of them is offsetting the other one. And if you quit one of them, then you'll be violently ill or worse. It's legalized drug pushing. And it's, and especially worse when, now I understand when people are in a situation where they need it, right? And so thank God that we have the science to know to counter things and the blah, 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 blah. But like my doctor, love him, good dude. But like I told him when I met him, he ain't gonna give me a bunch of medication, bro. Because at the end of the day, most of the stuff you're saying that I need to work on involves me losing weight. So that's what we're gonna focus on. But when you're dealing with chronic illnesses and things like that, you're at the mercy of these so-called specialists.
And then the funny thing about it is, then you have to deal with, well, you can't take that over-the-counter drug because it will weaken the drug that you need to use. Like I've heard that with a bunch of diabetes medication. You can't take a lot of ibuprofen for a certain thing because the ibuprofen will affect the diabetes medicine that you have to take. And I'm taking this from secondhand, but I know somebody who was pre-diabetes. But you can't take the ibuprofen, you can't take the Tylenol because that will. But oh my God, if you hurt your back, and the ibuprofen is the only thing that will help with your back.
No, because that's when they'll give you what's the term, Anna? Like if they won't give you an ibuprofen, they won't let you take Tylenol. They'll probably give you the opioid because that'll have a different set of impacts than the ibuprofen was. It's this whole thing. But that's why, folks, I am not a medical professional. Don't take no advice from me. What I say is you really trust your doctor. What you need is to have a doctor you trust. That's
I should have said that. I got this secondhand, so don't listen to me.
There are so many doctors who, before they had your appointment, They had an appointment with drug salesmen, people from insurance companies who are trying to get this doctor to push certain medications onto their patient population. And it works because those doctors get kickbacks. It's one of the ways they get money. Because unfortunately, doctors are not given, unless they're a brain surgeon, a big classy guy kind of doctor, that they are not given what they need. They are not given the support, and they are not given the money that they deserve. And the way medicine is run today it's very backwards. Healing is contraindicated, kind of thing. Because what do you do when? I mean, although let me tell you, doctors will go through so many different hoops before they put you on opiates. Because these days, that's being looked at on a microscope.
Yep.
And nobody wants to deal. Like, I tried to go get a primary care who would be able to accept me as a patient. I have a pain doctor. I have somebody who prescribes all those scary things for me. You have no idea how many times I was told, no, I can't be your doctor because of certain medications. Medications that I went through basically all of them until I found one that worked. Like, they were like, we are not left with many options. And it's just, the looks that I get. You'd think I prescribe these things for myself. When I try to talk to a new doctor, the entire thing is so ass backwards.
Well, when you have a profit motive in healthcare, it does not promote competition. It actually does the opposite.
Right.
It commoditizes the individual, and it's where we are. And it's scary to me, because we say, like, for example, there's the push for universal health care.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe we are in a position to get closer to universal healthcare, not because of the merits of universal healthcare, but it's because of the people we have to rely on to advocate for it. It would be contrary to their personal best interests. And that's how our system is built, right? Like, if you're a politician, the way you stay in office is you need enough money to be able to buy the right people and get the right advertisements and all these different things. That money doesn't come from small dollar donations. Right? I get what people are saying. We got to get the money out of politics and all these different things. And I actually agree with them. But I don't think they've in many cases, thought through what the unraveling would look like. You know, because right now, small dollar donations are very impactful for people like Bernie, AOC, things like that. But that's because you're only trying to spread it across like 20 people.
Right.
Once you have to spread that across everybody, and you're only able to do small dollar donations, nothing moves anymore. Everything gets stuck. Everything runs to a grind. So we need to do public financing. I agree with that. But now we need to reevaluate our tax system because we need more money. That's part of our biggest issue in America anyway. Our debt issue and all that stuff is because we keep cutting taxes while we still have growing expenses and we have interest expenses. You can't do that. You can't cut your paycheck and save more. Like, it's not how money or math works, right? So in order to achieve many of the things that we need to do, we'd have to increase taxes. We'd have to find a way to find a more balanced approach to the taxes. We have to stop villainizing wealth, but we have to make sure wealth actually pays its share. There's so many things that have to go into it. But in our current market of politics, you can't get that message through very well because we're red team, blue team, my team, your team. And that's where these aristocrats and elites are able to just kind of do what they do. You know, if you're a politician, you want to get reelected so that you can truly, let's just say you're a politician who truly believes in protecting Medicaid, protecting Medicare. You need money to stay in that seat to continue to try to fight. And the people who are on Medicaid, guess what they don't have? The money to help support you staying in office. Right? So now you have to curry favor from the ones who got money. Now, are you going to actually work in the opposite to the interests of the people who make it possible for you to fight for the interests of the people you care about? No. So now you're conflicted. And that's what the system is literally built to consume you so that you can't fight for the good things you believe in. And you're forced in a way or manipulated into a way of fighting for things you don't believe in so that you can fight for the things you do believe in. It's chaos. It's horrible.
All right, everybody.
I did it again, huh? We were supposed to end on a bright note.
Because I'm going to end it on a bright note because I'm going to play a video where you couldn't possibly come up with a way to actually make it serious.
Challenge accepted.
Okay.
Someone just told me that I have the same haircut as their coochie. I've never been so insecure in my life. I never thought my haircut being coochie haircut would be my biggest insecurity, but it is. Here we are. She was like, I love your hair so much, Bodie. I gave my coochie the same fade that you got. What am I supposed to say to that?
Wow. I got the coochie fade.
Do you want me to try to make it serious, or do we just go ahead and let this one run?
We go ahead and let this run. Oh, and by the way, for anybody who looking at me going, where did I get the word coochie fade? That was Anna, because that was not the name of the video. Anna came up with the word coochie fade. So,
wait, didn't the young man say?
He said it. I didn't come up with it.
Did he say coochie fade? He just said your hair is cut like my coochie.
Yeah, but then he said coochie fade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the style of his haircut. You know, it's bushy on the top, faded on the side.
That is not something that would have just come out of my mouth. I would have needed to hear that. And I did.
And you can't unhear it now. So
no,
No, that's
I love you, Marlon.
Apple said, please, no more with this video. Retire. I'm going to retire that video.
Thank
I am not going to retire this video. Ooh, we going to the last video of the night. Should we take this as a beautiful moment, or should we run?
Hey, I just want to say that if I lose you in this lifetime, that I'll find you in every lifetime. And that's a threat. Because where the hell you think you going? You think you're just going to leave me here by myself? Nope. You know too much. And more importantly, I know too much about you. Sorry, bro. That's what you signed up for when you said ride or die. It's not my fault you didn't see the asterisk sign on die. We're going to have our own show on Lifetime. We're going to have renewed seasons and reruns. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Okay.
Well, in the words of the Princess Bride, true love.
I was telling.
That's what he said. That's not what he said. To blame.
Liar! Liar!
That is, I've been holding on to a lot of videos that I played that I know will come up by the end of the year. That video made it to the end of the year. The coochie fade. But Anna's facial expression, oh my God, was priceless on that video. It was fantastic. And I saw it late at night because I looked through my videos a lot just to make sure where can I improve on the quality of the volume and things like that. And I came across that video, and I apologize, Anna, I wasn't paying attention to your facial expression when I was seeing the video, but then when I played it back and I was looking at Anna, and I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And then I showed it to Foxy, and Foxy was in her chair dying, just dying laughing. She went, you have got to play that on the show. Making a Foxy video, you have got to play that on the show.
Hey.
So I was like, I clipped the hell out of that part. And I was like, the facial expressions on it was like, the guy was right in front of her. And she was like, wait, what the fuck did you just say? Wait. What? Huh? What the fuck is you? Huh? What is he do? What?
Yeah, that man talking about an asterisk on die.
Do you know how many videos I've heard ride or die, and somebody always sit there and say, why I got to die?
That's a valid question.
I'm just curious. Oh, if I ride with you, I have to die with you.
Like, what type of stuff you into that's even like in the question? Like,
if you drive off a cliff and my doors are locked, I'm jumping out. I don't see why I have to die with you to be a true friend. You're dead. You're not going to tell the story.
and that's like my wife does when she listens to music, right? She doesn't listen to the words. It baffles you. Like, she can hear music over and over again, and she ain't got no clue what nobody said and nothing. And so when she get to singing, she's singing her own words. It's just an interesting experience. But there's this, I say all that to say there's a song by Anthony Hamilton called We Cool. And I want to say, I don't know if it's David Banner who says it or if it's Anthony who says it, but it basically says we can fill up on love alone. We don't need no groceries. We can fill up on love alone. My wife don't hear no words and no songs, but she heard that. And she said, babe, we're going to need some groceries. We're not filling up on love alone. So, This guy's basically saying, you know, we got an asterisk on die. I need a ride or die. My wife would be the one to be like, nah, first we need to figure out what we're riding to, because I don't understand that second part. That part don't.
It's a song. Oh my God, who is it from? You can have a piece of my love is waiting for you. Girl, is true. And then there's a part of the song.
Might be High Five. But...
No, it's not High Five. It's, I want to say Blackstreet, but it's not Blackstreet.
No, it ain't Blackstreet.
You can have a piece of my love. I know that's the name of the song. But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, and Anna, this is funny because I just sung the
part.
By Guy. Because the first part of it, you can have a piece of my love. It's waiting for you. Girl, is true. And then he goes into this hot tape. And then the second part is that I had to point this out to Fox and like, you didn't hear what the second part was, did you? No. Because the second part is, you can have a piece of my love. You dumb bitch waiting for you. And I'm like, you did not hear that part, right? And she's like,
never once heard that in my life.
Listen to the song. Because it's in there. Not now, of course. But the second part of that song is, you dumb bitch. And I'm like, wait, what? What? Now, like, okay, nobody's.
So I've never heard that.
People
I've never
what
heard
they
that. I'm looking
think
in
that
here.
lyric was.
I don't want whatever remix you got. I don't want that one, bro. That was bad. Oh no.
It wasn't Guy. She said Guy.
Guy is the sing. The song is by Guy. But what's trippy about these things, like we don't listen to the words. He's telling her she can have a piece of his love. Who getting the rest, bro?
Well,
what you holding back? What's going on?
Well, it's the same things when people always sit there, and I just learned. I ain't gonna say learned this recently because I've learned it like maybe 8 years ago. When people always say, you know, love in a marriage is 50-50. And it's like, no, love and marriage is not 50-50. You bring 100%, she bring 100%. I'm just speaking from a male point of view. But both people bring 100% into the marriage. Not you bring 50% and she bring 50%. That ain't gonna work. Because when you bring 50, she brings 50, you bring 50, then both of y'all have to carry each other. That ain't how marriage works. You bring 100%, she brings 100%. If something happens to her, you carry her until she get her crap together. Just like when something happens to you, she carries you until you get your crap together.
True.
You can't do that on 50%, bro. It ain't gonna happen because you're already 50% less than what you really are.
Yeah, I think when people, I mean, we know what they mean when they say 50-50. They're talking more about carrying the load,
100%
right?
together.
But I agree with you because I've often said the same thing, Marlon. It's like, no, you got to give your whole self to this thing. So when it comes to the relationship, it's got to be 100% because that's what it takes. You have to be all in. It's a all fail, all lose proposition. But then within the marriage, I do understand when people say 50-50, right? Because they're like, you pay half the rent, I pay half the rent, or you do the dishes, but I cut the lawn. But then there's even within that discussion, which is what I talk to some people about, is that 100% of the relationship. Oh, dag nabbit, stupid thing. Come on, man. Just so
I didn't realize what happened.
So unnecessary.
I'll talk while you fix that.
Nah, we good, man.
Your camera thought you needed a close up. Okay.
The 100% of your effort, though. The 100% of your effort, you got to understand that sometimes you're going to be 70 and sometimes she's going to be 30, right? You have to find where your load balance is and not expect everything to be the same. Like if she's a neat freak, guess who's going to be more responsible for cleaning up?
Yeah, bro.
Good night.
And I'll end the whole thing off with this. There are certain things that have changed over time. So I'm not saying that everybody should have known the 100% thing. I'm not doing that. But just like the happy wife, happy house thing.
Happy wife, happy life.
Happy life.
Happy. Say it again.
Happy wife, happy life.
Happy wife, happy life. Yeah, okay.
Happy spouse, happy house.
Happy house.
But there's nothing for the husband. There is no happy husband.
We added the spouse. That's why we put spouse.
I know that was because nobody can find anything that rhymes with husband.
I'm trying to find spouse.
Happy
You
man.
don't want Laos.
Happy man, happy dude, happy guy.
I don't. There's nothing for us. That's how bad it is, man. Ain't nothing for us, man.
Happy guy, don't tell a lie.
Sometimes your camera zoom in 70% when it should be
50%. It's because it looks at my hands, and I talk with my hands sometimes.
Theus, I have no idea why you got that camera, dude. Because I can't. But
I love my camera
because you talk with your hands, and I don't.
Know.
So
it's a problem. It's a problem.
But anyway, Anna, tell everybody
where
they can find you.
You can find me at borreliaetc.com, and I encourage people to go and have a look at the maps where I overlaid the ways that birds migrate and where ticks are found generally in the U.S. and in Canada. And you see those areas just match up so swimmingly. So, please be careful. It's still May. It is still Lyme Awareness Month, and if I could just help one more person not get this and not have to deal with the hell that is tick-borne infections, I'd be so happy. So, yeah. That's where you can find me.
When I tell y'all, when I go out and cut my backyard, because I got a fairly large backyard, but I also, like a moron, let the trees in the backyard grow out, and it's covering the backyard and everything else. So I'm cutting it back, and I can hear Anna in my head. So I have a head cover on my head as I'm cutting these branches down. I'm like, if you're gonna get me, you're gonna earn it. I got the head covers on my backyard. I got my jeans, not pants, jeans, the boots on and everything. Bruh, if you get me, you're gonna earn it. Cause you not just gonna up and just whoo, it happens. No. So I got the head cover on with all my hair and everything else, and I'm cutting it and flowing back, let it fall to the ground, look around. Let's go to the next branch. So yeah, Anna, y'all, I don't want to get into another tangent. Lyme disease is such a niche disease that it doesn't get the attention that it needs. But it's damn fucking devastating that it should get the attention that it needs. But because it's so niche, because it's not up there with cancer and heart disease and all this other stuff, nobody's paying attention. I've been with Anna for 5 years. It breaks my heart every time she is sick. Because she doesn't deserve it. Nobody does. So please be careful out there. And I'm done with that. Theus, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me right here. And then also you can find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I post there periodically. And you can find me on my website, ourunitedcore.com. There's a new tab, the 3R Project. may not be your taste. I understand, but that's there, and that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and of course,
I'm assuming you're LGBTQ.
I appreciate this. Until next time, which is not next week, but the week after, we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Hey, Marlon, I looked it up. So he didn't say dumb bitch, but he was saying it. Aaron Hall was in the middle of doing a dumb ditty when it went out. So the band says that's why people think he was saying that. It cut him off.
Dumb ditty came out. Okay.